This episode of Watch Out for Fireballs is brought to you by our patrons such as Raphael, Pat Bevins, and Christian Hardicke. Thank you very much, and thank you to everybody who patronizes us over at patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv. If you'd like to join them, head on over. $5 a month gives you all the premium episodes and tons of goodies and supports your boys. We appreciate it. My name is Gary Butterfield.
My name is Cole Ross.
And you're listening to Watch Out for Fireballs. It is a Games Club podcast.
And this week we are talking about Ender Lilies, Quietus of the Nights, which is a Metroidvania game developed and published by AdGlobe and Livewire, and published by Binary Haze Interactive for current systems in 2021.
2 out of the 3 of those things sound like energy drinks.
Mm-hmm.
This episode was executive produced by Steven. Big thank you to Steven.
Thank you. Yeah.
We're firmly into a little springtime section I like to call I feel very out of step with every other critical body talking about these games. There are things I like about this. There are things I'm going to be really mean about. And I just want to make sure Steven understands. Does not reflect on Steven, just different strokes, you know? A good reminder for people as well that it's awesome to sponsor. We love it when people sponsor games and stuff, but sometimes we don't like stuff. We got to be honest. Yeah. And that's more of a next week thing.
Yeah.
But this week is also just kind of like, boy, this game got a lot of really good press, and it's a real 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10 kind of number, man.
Yeah.
This is okay.
Yeah.
Deeply okay.
It's deeply okay. We'll get into it with specifics. I can understand why people would kind of hew to this, given aesthetics and just the in the moment, moment to moment, hand to hand feels pretty good. My problems with it are on kind of a real macro level, actually.
It's a thing where I have subjective issues. Which there are aesthetic things that I think are irksome about this, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah. And then there are bigger things, which are like level design things that this does that I think are kind of crummy. Yeah. That I didn't see called out like anywhere. And we're going to get into all of that. Yeah. Here, but it's just real mixed bag. I'm glad we did this instead of Bonfireside Chat.
Yes.
Quite a bit. And we'll get into that. We start talking about story and kind of fluff stuff because that stuff also didn't work for me pretty hard. The premise of this, if you haven't heard of this, because this is a small indie game, you play as Lily. You're a young girl who wakes up in a world that's been ravaged by an undead curse. If that sounds familiar, it's called the Blight this time. And you set out to search for the White Priestesses, which are the kingdom's only hope of treating this affliction.
Yes. And you search for them in this 2D Metroidvania that hews pretty close to the formula with like a little bit of Souls rhythm and checkpointing stuff thrown in.
Yeah. It's a Soulsylvania.
Yeah.
We're comfortably in a Blasphemous Death's Gambit kind of section here.
Yeah. Which is, both of those are unfavorable comparisons, or this is an unfavorable comparison to those.
I think so. I think those are significantly better games.
Yeah. But kind of the gimmick here is that Lily is this young girl Not to, I mean, like a kid. Like her dodge at the start is she just kind of trips
She
like a
falls
toddler.
over. She's a moe waif.
Yeah,
In
that's
this,
aesthetic marker number one thing, which I
yeah.
can understand why people would be like way into it.
If you, yeah, man, if the idea of like a little girl doing stuff is like you're like, yeah, man, like it's a tiny, very a feat and demure girl who does my adventure. This will work for you. I didn't realize at the time, but I'm like, I was like, what is the word for this aesthetic? And I kept like circling around it, and eventually realized like, oh, it's moe. And then I was like, oh no, I hate moe. I want to spike this girl into a compost heap. I just, like, oh, woo woo. Like it's really irritating. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I love a lady character and something, but something about playing like a toddler, like a girl. She's not a toddler, but you know what I mean? Like a very helpless little waif. I don't like a waif. No waifs. You know,
it's they'll just again, that's going to be a cilantro thing depending on your depending on your viewing habits. Yeah,
adore a waif.
Yeah,
for me, it's just like I cannot handle the waif. Her dodge roll, which you talked about, which starts off of her falling on her face, is like, it's funny. It's almost like she ragdolls, and her doing it in midair when she kind of belly flops.
It's like straight out of one of those old dismount games that you used to be able to get, where it's like, oh, we're going to crash a truck and then see how the body flies.
Can waif danger land on the target to get a certain number of tickets? It is a waif danger dodge, and it's funny, but at no point does it seem cool. To me, it just seems inexorably lame. And I was trying to figure out what the difference is between this and Momodora, which is another game we've covered that I like. And I fired up Momodora and I'm like, oh, it's cuter. Yeah. And she looks kind of like tough. She doesn't look quite as young, and she doesn't look quite as helpless.
Yeah. No. Lily is helped, and this is kind of the gimmick here, at least this aesthetically, and it goes into the mechanics here a little bit. We got kind of a Order of Ecclesia thing going on.
Yeah.
Where in that game you're just playing a sorceress and you've got these marks, these tattoos that will manifest your weapons and stuff. Here, she has these spirits that, your every action that you take besides jumping and dodging and moving around summons one of these spirits to perform the action for you. So the first one that you get, and this is just a real basic way to kind of lay it out, like your basic attack is to summon this Umbral Knight, is what he's called, who does sword slash combos and stuff for you. And everything else is various flavors of that.
And you get a bunch more. Yeah. You defeat bosses and you get major ones, you defeat mini bosses, you get minor ones. You end up with a huge stable of different options. This is legit pretty cool.
Yep.
I think like there's a wide variety of these. You're not discouraged from trying new ones. They tend to be at your average level when you find them. So, level up the stuff you get. It's not, you don't have to wait to put your resources into things.
Yeah.
I like the wide variety of these.
Yeah.
Quite a bit. It's the coolest thing about the game to me. Like, this is the unique selling point.
Yeah, this is this lends to the game having a pretty wide build variety. And you're not necessarily, because of that, the spirits level up with you even before you get them, kind of feel like nothing, you never find anything useless, right?
You find tons of useless things because of how they handle lore notes. which we'll talk about. Like that's more of a level design thing, but you can use your resources.
I guess by spirits. None of the spirits that you find, like each of them has a certain corner case where it's going to be useful to you, either by the kind of damage it does, or by the kind of the sector that it hits. You can be really adaptive to what the game throws at you. And it's weird because that ends up being the axis on which the lack of variety hurts, not your capability.
Yeah. It's doing the thing. It comes up a lot on the show where a game gives you a wide tool set and gives you no real reason to use it.
Yeah.
And that can be a real bummer. And also it can be a little exhausting.
Yeah.
You get a new spirit and you want to feel excited by that. You want to try out a new cool thing, but it's just a slightly different hurt box.
Yeah.
And that ends up feeling kind of bad. It's cool that there's this wide variety. I don't know what the answer to that is exactly. Like the feeling of getting a thing, knowing it's could be powerful and useful, but being a little exhausted at the idea of trying everything out because what I have is just fine, and I'm used to it. There's a huge devil, you get used to the timings. These all have different timings. This is all done through a cooldown system. You don't have a stamina. You have an invisible cooldown on your dodge. Your spirits have a visible cooldown on them. So you get used to those. Like you end up in a rhythm for it. And it's not like Souls weapon classes where they roughly map onto each other. In that, I have a big axe, I have a big hammer. I can probably make that transition. I'm used to big things. Here, a big guy might do something completely different. Yes. He might do a distance, like ranged belly flop, not a close up slow attack.
Yeah.
So it's just a little tricky to experiment to the degree. It's something that should be fun. I think. And it just ended up being something I didn't want to do throughout the game. Which for one reason or another, like it just wasn't compelling.
This gets into armchair kind of things, but like I think that placement and level design around these things is pretty important. When I think of other games that have, fewer things that it will give you ability wise, oftentimes where and when you get it, there will be a short section after or nearby where it's like, oh yeah, here, let's demonstrate the use case. Here, that the level design doesn't seem to care. Yeah.
Well, not only that, but you couldn't do it. They're like 30 spirits.
Yeah.
It would have to be, they do that for the Metroidvania elements, for the movement elements.
Yeah.
And they do it as well. Again, it's by the formula, like they do it just fine.
Yeah.
But if they were going to do it for weapons, it would feel really weirdly start-stop because you get them a lot.
Yeah. So. Yeah. So you do not have stamina, but enemies do have stagger meters. This ends up being really important, especially for bosses, because of, another problem, HP sponge. Like there's real health bar inflation in this. But as you attack, you will whittle this thing down, and then they go into a staggered state where you can go in and whack them like a pinata. Some of the spirits are more geared towards staggering enemies. So you can go in and get those high damage attacks in. It's nice, playing around with those.
Yeah. You can have 2 sets of 3 attacks equipped, so you can switch between 2 different modes. You can do that instantly. So the idea is you can have a wide variety of things. Early on I experimented with having like a ranged set and a close-up set, but ended up just wanting to have a ranged and a close-up thing on my main bar. Attacks have limited uses in this, like magic in Dark Souls, that can be restored by resting at a respite or a bonfire. Or there are little red flowers you can attack in the world to get these. And this is another way that things are balanced. One thing I like about this is some of them are effective, like some of them are limitless and some of them are effectively limitless. Most of the range ones that do plink damage, you get commensurate number of uses.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to run out of the homing witch spell. Like you have 70 uses. That's pretty great. They're pretty generous with these.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Yeah. And there were times even when there wasn't a red flower where just defeating a bunch of enemies would restore, kind of like defeating enemy groups in Elden Ring a little bit. I found they generally keep you pretty fueled up. It ends up being one of those things that feels like a limitation, but really kind of isn't,
a weird secret to this system too, that it took me a long time to figure out in the game is that these can overlap.
Yeah.
Like you're thinking of them as attacks. So you're thinking I can do one and then the other. You can actually do 2 of these at the same time. If they're both on cooldown.
Yeah.
So that is a good way to, like, there are, we're talking about the HP spongeness of the bosses. They are really spongy. You can up your damage output in a couple different ways, even doing everything you can to optimize damage, which I was doing, like, offense is defense in this. It didn't really do enough. To make the boss fights not like 7 or 8 minutes long.
It is satisfying to figure out, like, for a particular boss, a couple of spirits. I mean, again, 2 sets of 3, so you can have 6 of them. Figuring out a combination where you can just pile on the summons and have them continuously do damage to them when they're down.
Yeah. No.
There is an Estus system in this. You're healing. You've got prayers is what they are. You get 3 at the start. By equipping a particular ring, you can get an extra one, and you restore the use on these by attacking white flowers in the world.
Or resting.
Or by resting. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is fine. Feels like in Estus, this powers up substantially as you find other dead priestesses, other little girls like you.
Yeah.
Who are
Yeah,
dead.
you harvest the moe energy. Like you look at her stumbling in front of a boy she likes in front of a locker, her memory, and you suck it out to get another use. Like,
oh man, a cool thing about these that I did appreciate is if you are at max health and you accidentally press the button to use this, doesn't work. It just it will like you'll do the animation, but it won't expend one. And if your charges are full when you attack a white flower, you'll just get the healing benefit from attacking the flower.
Yeah,
so
that's great.
That's neat.
Yeah, nice little quality of life.
Yeah.
There are levels in this. Killing enemies levels you up. This increases your attack. Here's a weird thing about this game. I ran to a few walls that it's like a little grindy.
It's a little grindy, and each individual level doesn't make that big of a difference for you. It's 100 level cap.
Yeah, you gain levels pretty quick. They don't do very much, but you still need to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So like you end up at a situation where like, this is ridiculous. I'm getting, 2-shot very quickly.
Yeah.
Go out and gain 5 levels, just walk back and forth for a little while.
Yeah.
It seems built into the design. It doesn't seem like, I'm sure it's not strictly necessary. Like I'm sure there are soul level 1 playthroughs of this, or as close as you can get without, within a game that automatically levels you up. But it felt necessary. Yeah. And that's just something I never like. It's not super fun in this. Like the combat is snappy and fun enough, but it's not the kind of thing I want to walk back and forth doing.
Yeah.
I was not a joy.
No. It's and also like the level and enemy variety, like none of the spaces or none of the like particular enemies was particularly engaging to go up against. They kind of vary between nothing and annoying was kind of the spectrum. So there was little intrinsic intrinsic value to be found in going and killing a bunch of them. Like the enemies kind of exist just to be enough friction for exploration and to kind of plink you down. Yeah.
It's hard for me to think of a specific enemy where I'm like, this enemy is really fun to fight.
Yes.
If there is a big knight thing that I can parry, like that's pretty fun.
Yes.
That is a class of enemies. There's tons of them that are functionally identical in this game. There's also tons of other enemies that are just a little obnoxious.
Yeah.
The way this game handles health is real weird.
Yeah.
In this, and it plays into the pickup thing, which plays into the economy, which is real strange. I don't know if you have a note for that later.
It's worth talking about here. Yeah.
I find it real weird. So you don't gain health for leveling up. Instead, you find an item, an amulet fragment out in the world that gives you 5 extra hit points. These are kind of start out as like high value treasures. But as you go, 5 health gets less and less to where these kind of become low value treasures, and very occasionally you'll get a higher, a better version of it. But this is limited in the world. You are not able to, when you are leveling up to grind, because you kind of have to grind, you're not getting more health.
No.
You get a little bit more durability, a little bit more offense, but you have to really explore in this. It functions with the rest of the economy things to me to feel like a game that is balanced around you finding everything.
Well, I mean, and then you have to get the true ending if that is something that motivates you.
The fucking true ending shit. But like, so imagine like Super Metroid, like an Metroidvania kind of thing. The way missiles are deployed in that game, you're really not meant to get them all. You can, right. You don't need them all. Like by no means. I've never 100% of that. This game kind of takes the opposite route. Like you're not getting enough health tanks. You're absolutely nickel and diming your health up to where every one of them is basically necessary.
Yeah.
So it has a hard, hardcore kind of semi-mandatory collectathon feeling to it.
Yeah.
At points. And that would be kind of cool because finding hidden stuff in Metroidvanias is fun if they were fun to find in the world.
Right.
Which like some of them are and most of them aren't though.
And a lot of them are just like, oh, it happened to be in a box that was there, so you destroyed it. That kind of thing. Yeah,
like there's like destructible just objects for flavor around, and you play for a while before you realize like, no, they're going to actually put a really valuable upgrade in that. This plays into like a general sense of the economy that I don't like. So you go around and you get these collectibles, you get the health collectibles, you get things to upgrade your spirits, these different kinds of blight collectibles in the world. There are 2 tiers of these. This also feels really nickel and dimey.
Yeah.
The curve on the requirements for these goes up drastically.
It's like 10, 30, 90, 300.
Yeah, 90, 300. And you're getting them in like 10 at a time.
Right.
So what this does is it effectively is saying, this is the level cap for your spirit until you get further in the game where you start finding bigger caches of these.
Yeah.
It ends up feeling really artificial. Like it doesn't feel better than just having them level up with you almost. And again, it kind of undercuts that control. Like it's simultaneously necessary to collect everything and grind, but you are never particularly empowered by doing either of those things. You're just getting to the minimum of the curve.
Right.
You know, like you're just clearing the, like stumming, like, you know, beaching on the bar. Like just barely though.
Yeah. You know? And what it ultimately kind of works out to is it's almost like there are 3 different experience meters and they're rewarded for different things. Right.
Yeah.
So like it would almost be like they were rewarding you with extra max HP for, touching every platform on a map. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, is something kind of weird, and then the spirit upgrades are kind of something else entirely. I think the HP thing gets and the fact that it is kind of limited by where you can get to with the current movement options, that runs into the difficulty and makes the difficulty much more of an issue.
Yeah.
I'm not as averse to grinding as you are. And I end up being happy sometimes that it is there as a pressure relief valve to to surmount difficulty. Like, okay, I'm just gonna put in some time and get over this wall. Maybe the next boss will be a little bit more catered to my strengths as a gamer American, so I will just make up for that time there. Cool, good.
Yeah.
Problem is, you're very fragile in this. Like, bosses end up being this shuttle run because of the fact that they are phase based and they have so much HP compared to your very little. You've got the 3 prayers with you most of the time, and a lot of these bosses and their attacks, you can be hit 3 or 4 times and then you're out. And when there is literally no way to increase your HP pool beyond seeing more of the map, and you may be up against a wall, kind of brings in some of these moments where the game feels very hopeless.
Yeah. The one, I 100% with you. I have to complain about the economy a little bit more before we move on to difficulty.
No,
I
bring it up because it's tied in at that particular point. Yeah,
I was just being a parody of myself. It is 100% tied in. I also had that experience. Like, and for the record, I like being able to surmount difficulty. I just wish that it was balanced in the first place.
That's the thing.
That version of grinding, like, yes, I would rather be able to do it and get past the wall than not. I would just prefer I didn't have to do it in the first place.
Yes.
But in addition to finding that, you find my biggest issue is they hide lore that way. So clearly inspired, Dark Souls. Like Dark Souls did the lore snippet thing and set the world on fire. The way Dark Souls does it, for people who haven't played it, because this is watch out for fireballs, not bonfireside chat. When you pick up an item, there's a little paragraph with it. That's a description that will tell you about the world or the person who owned it or something unrelated. And that is how you piece together the story. Ender Lilies does that as well, but rather than tying them to things you will pick up, they just put them as freestanding notes in the environment that are weighted the same way as mechanical upgrades.
Yes.
So you will have the Metroidvania experience of seeing a challenge room. Like, oh shit, that's a big dude. That's a mini boss.
Yeah.
I bet you if I beat him, there's something cool behind him. Or finding a specifically devious secret. Like, oh, there's a little divot in the wall in this elevator shaft. I bet you if I jump and hit that, I can go in there.
Yeah.
And instead of getting rewarded with something that would be in any other Metroidvania, you're rewarded with a a really, really bland paragraph about the story.
Yeah.
And like, again, super subjective element, right? It's like the Moe wave zone, but the prose in this game really failed to do anything for me.
Yeah.
Some of the concepts were fine, but even then it felt really, really like an AI generating a Souls game to me. Like, oh, there's a rain that turns things undead, and there's a load bearing like boss at the end who's holding it back. And I'm like, that's just Dark Souls, you know, like that's
I have run out of mileage on that particular concept, or that particular idea. I've got this as a note later in the writing. It my eyes just kind of like wash over it. Like, oh, there's a hero who was tragically corrupted. Like, I mean, come on. I understand that we are, more steeped in this than the average person,
than most people,
probably.
Yeah.
But like, we're 13 years on from Dark Souls, or 12 years on from Dark Souls right now. Like, that this is still coming around and being played straight up the middle without a twist kind of feels a little unforgivable. Maybe newish to you. The tread may not be off the tires there. I gotta tell you, this exact story is just so in the water that it's bizarre that it suffices.
That it came out at this time.
Yeah.
And I can imagine, a hater, like somebody who is not a fan of FromSoft's games being like, well, how come it's okay when they do it? And the answer to that is, one, like they kind of started it, so them doing it is kind of a legacy thing. But two, they really don't do the exact same thing. There are twists on all of those things. Their basic premises, the basic premise is the same. Like, there's a curse and there's undeads, but they change the details of that so much from entry to entry. It cannot be stressed enough how straight down the middle this is.
Right.
It really feels like this would feel kind of fresh if it came out right after Demon Souls.
Yes.
Like in 2009. It is not. It's really tired. And this is aside from, I think, the prose, which just lacks any kind of like spark.
Yeah.
There's not an entertaining voice to the narrative. So this all coupled together in having a depressing effect on making me want to go forward to see what would happen.
Yeah.
At no point was I interested in the narrative of this game.
Right.
And when I'm just trying to play it as a wireframe and play the parts I do like, which are mechanical, roughly a fourth of the time when I go and find a hidden cache, it's just a paragraph about the narrative.
Yes.
And like, I did diligence. Like, I read these, I didn't skip them. I was like, maybe, I earned this fucking, this post-it note. I'm going to goddamn dine on it. Like, I'm going to read both sides of it.
I sweated for this.
Yeah. I'm going to see what this is. And it just adds up to nothing, and then I did the secret ending. In this, because I was feeling, I don't know, like a scroll took over. That's not the kind of thing I usually do, but I was like,
I was going to ask if you were okay.
Yeah. So I had extra time. I was really far ahead on work, and I wanted to do due diligence for it. And once you know what to do to get the thing, like, you don't actually have to get everything. You have to go gather some doodads.
Yeah.
Once you know where they're at, they're not so bad. And also I read that some of them were behind like platforming challenges and stuff. And it's like, cool. Like, I would like to see what this game does with that. That was one of my favorite parts about Grime, is when it went into platform challenges. So I was like, I want to see what that is.
Yeah.
It didn't make me like the story.
Yeah.
There's just nothing that fired me up about that.
Yeah. And just having the little apocalyptic log be one of your rewards for doing other stuff, it can be a real be sure to drink your Ovaltine kind of moment. Yeah,
absolute Ovaltine moment. And contrast it with the Chad Death's Gambit, which did the same thing, but they gave you a bonus against the boss, which not only was cool mechanically, but it made sense. You're reading up on the boss, so you were learning its weaknesses.
Yes.
Again, if I could point Soulsylvania developers at anything, I would say play the fuck out of Death's Gambit, which is so overflowing with like wonderful ideas and innovation in this space, from story to mechanics and everything. It's such a good game.
Yeah.
And it's the opposite of something that just kind of like does the formula and then stumbles on a bunch of shit.
Right.
Yeah. The other collectible you're going to find are You have relics, which are kind of like ring slots, give you perks. You have a limited number of points that you can allocate to the perks, kind of like Paper Mario kind of thing. And you get more relic points by finding chains of sorcery. These are similar to the HP ups. They're just out and about. And these are fine. Some of these are real good. Some of them seem real silly, like faster swimming speed, stuff like that. But they do have a use case, for them. Like there are challenges where you want to swim fast.
Yes. And, backtracking through a water heavy area, it's nice to be able to make that go a little bit quicker, when the only cost is some menu text kind of stuff.
Yeah. We talked about the difficulty a little bit. The way it's a weird difficulty in this game. It's pretty uneven, I think. All the bosses are slogs because they're 1,000 years long. Yeah. Some of them have some cool moves and are fun to fight. But you're going to go up against them over and over and over. And that always includes a first phase you've mastered and a long, slow animation of it struggling to get to its feet. Yeah. As the music cues up. It really started to feel very repetitive. Yeah. And wear on my nerves pretty quick.
Yeah. And no boss was a cakewalk, which sounds like a compliment. However, I'm talking even like really early on, like fuck the Dark Witch.
I didn't have a problem with the Dark Witch.
Oh man, came right out the gate. I was like, oh boy.
Yeah. We might have had different experiences with the bosses. They eventually got frustrating to me. We didn't talk about this early on in the controls because it's technically a pickup, but it's a basic part of the game, so it's worth talking about.
Right.
You get a parry.
You do.
At some point. It's a really strong parry.
Oh, you absolutely need to be able to use it. It's kind of wild that it's just, okay, you've reached the catacombs, use this now.
In no universe should it be a pickup. It should have just been part of your kit.
Yeah.
It's necessary. So it's one of those things where it's kind of presented as optional, both like in terms of it's usually optional in video games to do that, and in terms of the fact that it's a power up you pick up.
Yeah.
But it's by no means optional. And getting like good at parrying basically solved a bunch of the bosses for me. So when I would die to bosses, and I didn't ace very many of these, but when I would die to them, it was a lot of fatigue or not seeing the third phase. This is something again, not everybody listens to Bonfireside Chat. One of the problems that we have with 3-phase bosses is you do the first phase and you get it. And then you get to see the second phase. Second phase shows you a bunch of new stuff. No. New stuff you're not prepared for kills you. Then you have to do the first phase again. You get to the second phase, you practice that. Every time you want to practice the second phase, you have to go through the first phase again. And then every time you want to practice the third phase, you have to go through the first two again. That's on full display here, but it's worse because of the HP sponge issue.
Yeah.
So like, and boss would have a first phase that I could reliably get through without taking a hit. It would just take fucking forever.
Yeah.
And I'll make mistakes or get bored or get frustrated because it was just taking a really long time to do that. Like there's a tuning issue that's pretty intense.
Yeah. To say something kind about the bosses and the phases, I feel like this is a pretty good articulation of that in terms of the moves that are added. Like it is a satisfying escalation where they almost always modify the attacks that you have seen before and add one or two on top of that. Like it does make for interesting encounters. I just do not like that paired up with how long each individual phase lasts, because I reach I get it kind of section here.
Yeah.
I reach that particular point and then it just becomes attrition.
I'm glad that they're not starting up with like new night and day things.
Yes.
It just, when they do get added things, sometimes it's a one shot.
Yeah, that's a problem.
That's a huge problem. If the first time you see something, it's a one shot and you've had to go through 8 minutes of boss fight.
Yeah.
To get to that. And 8 minutes doesn't sound like a lot, but like seriously, okay.
No,
cool. Let's set in silence for 8 minutes and see so the audience can really feel like what it feels
Gary,
like.
In my younger days, absolutely. I don't know.
Put Tom Petty's The Waiting on 4 times, please. Like, yeah, it's a long time.
Yeah.
You get that burning feeling in the back of your neck, that like frustration of just like, God fucking damn it. I just need to see something new.
Yeah. Another thing about difficulty, and this is also a kind thing that I'm going to say about it, is the checkpoints are very generous. You do find lots of them, and fast travel is unlocked pretty much right away. And also, you can always warp to warp to the most recent one. This is a game that is in step with Souls games and Souls likes in that it is pretty much gotten rid of the boss run.
Yeah. Yep. It also there's no leaving a corpse.
Right.
You don't have souls or you don't have a resource. You just keep your experience. So if you die, nothing happens.
Yeah.
That's great.
You do lose though when you like something that I love about recent Souls likes. See Death's Gambit. See Blasphemous. Like by getting rid of the drop, those ended up being an opportunity to give you a little boost during a fight. During a boss fight, right? You would get in and claim that. I think Hollow Knight did this as well, where you could claim that.
In Hollow Knight, you had to fight it. In Hollow Knight, it's the reverse. Like, that's one of the big things Hollow Knight fucked up. But in Blasphemous, 100%, it counted as a heal. Here, this is going to sound mean. That is a design space I have no faith the developers would have done anything neat with. In this game, it's such a straight putt and so down the middle with things that I don't think they would have done something cool with it.
Yeah, I suppose.
It would have just been you pick up your souls. But maybe that's me being cynical.
Yeah.
So,
but the fact that you don't lose anything does make death, it reduces the stakes in a way that I'm fine with in a game where the levels themselves are not really that big of a challenge. There are some that are pretty, that end up getting pretty hateful, but like most of the dying you're going to do is on the bosses and you're going to die a lot.
Yep. The main bosses give you a movement ability. Let you explore more of the world. These vary. Some of them are useful in combat and exploring, and that's great. Some of them are just for exploring. They're just keys. Less good one's literally a key. You summon a ghost who opens doors for you. One of the least satisfying upgrade abilities I've ever received. But it is funny that it happens. These are just...
You summon a ghost to straighten your tie for you.
Basically, the steak chewing ghost comes through. This lets you explore more of the world that you have. The way the world and the world map works is it's a series. It actually looks like a chart someone would make as a design document.
Yes.
It's a series of rooms that are joined by little lines that just show there's a connection there, but not what the connection is. So on the map, it's a series of rectangles with lines drawn between them.
Yes.
And that shows you like, oh, these two rectangles connect, but not necessarily where or how. Right. There's literally doors you can go into that almost look like they would be a Goonies 2 NES backside of the map. Like sometimes you'll literally go off the top of the screen. Sometimes you'll just go in a door.
Yeah. The fact that it's the same language for both of those really tripped me up when I got to the Cliffside Hamlet.
It really just made me wish it was the map from Super Metroid or Symphony of the Night. No. I don't know what it gained by being more abstract.
So what I think it gained was the flexibility to not make the spaces fit together Lego-like. The individual rectangles will be roughly to scale. Like, hey, if this is a longer room or a taller room, it will show that. But I think that by keeping your mini map so abstracted, it got rid of the necessity to make the connection so literal.
I would have preferred the connections be literal. Like I like that about a Metroidvania.
Same.
The spaces meet and kind of bleed together and make sense together. Like this ends up being you're teleported to an instanced room almost because they don't necessarily make sense with each other in space. And I can see the appeal of that from a developer standpoint, but not from an art standpoint.
Right.
They tell you whether you've collected everything in the room. This plays into part of where this lets me down in a Metroidvania level design sense. So in Metroidvania, one of the feelings you want to get from this is like, oh man, that ledge is too high. I can't wait until I can double jump and go back and grab it. This game has a bunch of things where they just put a treasure out of view like that. And you have to come back, you have to get a certain thing. So it's like, okay, can I get it with the double jump? Can I get it with the double jump and air dash? No, not quite. I have to wait for the grappling hook. Something like that. Don't get too excited. It's a grapple point based grapple hooks. so you don't know exactly what you have to come back for, but there's also nothing on the map that indicates it. And the spaces didn't feel memorable enough for me to be like, oh, I'm excited to go back to village screen subsection 6.
Yes.
Which has no real landmarks or markers. It's just another section of dilapidated buildings. It's just this one I have to remember has a treasure chest in it.
Mm-hmm.
The map will tell you there's something there, but not tell you what. And that could be anything. That could be like, oh, there's a crate you didn't bash that has a +5 hit point thing in it. Stuff like that. It ended up making the experience of I've gotten a new movement ability instead of being, oh man, I know where to use this.
Mm-hmm.
It ended up feeling like I need to go back to all of the different rooms that have something left and see if this is the key for it.
Yeah, I'm effectively going to run the entire map again just to see, which reduced the frequency. Like something that is delightful in a lot of Metroidvanias is I get a new thing and immediately I want to go and press up against those edges that would not push out. Push up against that wall. Okay, I can probably get through there, right? And you do that, with frequency as soon as you get a new thing. Here it was like, there's probably going to be like 2 or 3 upgrades that I'm going to get in this run, and I might as well wait until I get the next one before I go and spend a lot of time doing this.
It couples with the fact that you're not going to get anything super meaningful from them, or at least it felt like it. Maybe you'll run into a mini boss that is a cool summon, maybe, but a lot of times it was just +5 hit points, or a stack of rotten, upgrade material that puts you 5% closer to upgrading your guy. Because again, they nickel and dime you with that stuff. It
ends up being like, okay, because exploration is the only way to get higher HP. I would be super frustrated with the boss fight and say, all right, in this mood, I will now go do a bunch of stuff that I've done before in the hopes that I am somehow able to get maybe +10 HP, and maybe that will be the difference.
Coming through super frustrated is no good. Big bummer. True ending, you don't have to 100%. You have to go grab all the fragments from of the chalice or something.
Okay.
And they're in bespoke places that do have bespoke challenges in front of them.
Oh, nice.
Which is, in terms of, and some of them are okay. There's a really, really hate fuck difficulty section.
Hate fuck from a platforming kind of point of view? Okay. Yeah.
Platforming thing that required you moving through a poison fog, and just really, really tight margins. It sucked. I wish I hadn't done it. I don't know what came over me. Again, scroll Gary at work.
Were you bit by some kind of bug?
The real answer is we just took a break. We're recording this after taking a little bit of time off recording, not working, but time off recording. And I was in a real game fugue, like nothing sounded good.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I feel like playing something, but I don't know what. I guess I'll just play work games because nothing sounds good. And then I was like, I'm really far ahead. I don't know what else to do with myself. Like is weird anxiety brain stuff.
Yeah.
That made me go through it. It wasn't anything good about me or good happening to me that made me do it. Like
this should not raise anything in anybody's estimation. Yeah.
Oh, to me, the game looks good in terms of backgrounds, and most enemy designs are okay. There are not enough enemies, and they're not wild enough for me, but they look serviceable. A lot of knights, a lot of flying knights that you do.
Some of the like monstrosities end up looking kind of samey to me, to a degree. Just like, oh yeah, it's kind of like festering and tumoury. Like, oh, it's got claws where it ought not to. It could have used a little bit more inspiration. To my mind from an art direction kind of standpoint. That said, like the look is really functional. This is kind of 3D models, but with an anime kind of toon shader over it, which, never actually felt like they were doing something cheaper, to a degree.
Yeah.
And the animation is super crisp. like everything, your attacks are not floaty, your jump is not your jump is floaty but not in a way that feels bad, and enemy attacks are very well delineated and very well telegraphed.
Yeah, it feels pretty good in the hands. Like, I know I've talked a lot of shit about this, but I did in the hands and as a play experience, it occasionally sings.
Yes.
Pretty good. My main issue graphically is the main character, who I think looks ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Even your little prayer thing is just very like tragic waif.
Yes.
Soundtrack swings fucking wildly. This is composed and performed by the Japanese indie band named Millie.
Mm-hmm.
There are songs that are really good.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's like this is a cool song. This is good music.
That the Witch's Thicket theme, that kind of 3/4 kind of jazz.
That's real fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a theme for the lab assistant, Precious, what's her head?
Beloved Muriel.
Beloved,
Muriel.
Beloved Muriel. That's like gamelan music.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds really neat. They also do a lot of piano plink plonks.
Yeah.
We're in like the plink plonk zone. And solo piano for this, again, has kind of become a little bit of a cliche for the genre, you know? And then sometimes it has vocals accompanying it, and it drove me fucking nuts. This has my least favorite video game music track that I've heard in a really long time, including Tasmania for the Game Gear, where
Jesus, man,
I fucking hate it, dude. The equivalent of the Undead Parish, like the first or second level you go through in this game, has all piano plink plonk and then extremely ooh baby singing.
Yeah,
it just sounds like a baby singing a lullaby to you, like a reverse baby. Or something.
Oh god, a baby that puts you to sleep.
It
sounds
like a baby that tries to put you to sleep. I share this, Gwen is a musician as well. So me and Gwen will vent about music to each other and talk about music.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, Gwen, check this out. And so I imagine Gwen will use it in the edit at some point just so people can hear it. And it's a total subjective thing. Like, some people are just be like, yeah, the baby singing over plink plonks to me is good. This rocks. Not abide. I muted it only in that area. Like, if going back there and go back to the point about scouring every area for upgrades after you got a new thing, every time I went to this village, I'm like, I can't fucking hear one note of this. It's gotta go. I hate it.
Yeah. My problem with those is not necessarily the kind of the infantile singing that goes along. As far as I can tell, it's not Japanese. I didn't recognize any words or even phonemes really.
No,
it was
just
like,
sounds like baby talk.
Vocalizing. Yeah. But my issue with that is, along with the reliance on the kind of plink plonk piano, kind of sorrow, just not a lot of dynamic range to that. There's not a lot of velocity to it.
No.
And not everything needs to be fucking Mega Man X music. That would be ridiculous.
It is an action game.
Well, it is an action game. Yes.
Yeah. Like, some of it could be like, it is, it is getting pumped.
Yeah.
Is part of the spectrum of emotions, like this kind of like a challenging game is meant to evoke.
Yeah, just that particular part of it feels like it is matching the music to the to the character and to kind of the moe aesthetic there to it. Boy, somebody's gonna be real mad because we are using that word generally.
It's not. I looked it up. Like, it applies. I did research.
Gary, do you think that somebody who is really, really into that will miss any opportunity to put us on blast
to like
for
freak
it?
out?
Yeah.
I had a very funny, quaint explanation. Like this is a very funny, at least to me, was a very funny evening that I had.
Okay.
Where I was like, what is this fucking aesthetic? So I was like looking around online and then like I was like, oh, moe. Oh, that's the thing when like girls are subservient and weak and they can't talk. Boy, that seems problematic.
Yeah.
So then I was like, searching problematic, and apparently, me not being plugged into anime culture, this is like a decades old argument.
Oh God, yeah.
Whether this, and it seems really obvious to me, like, oh, disempowered women who can't talk and they're baby weak, and you have to protect them.
And they're very, very young. That runs up against real unsavory parts of fandom. Yeah.
Sometimes they're sexy. This is not, can I get something in a sexy baby? Like this isn't that. So to its credit, right? Like,
yes, yeah.
The character's not. So I had like a really fun day of looking at like ancient 30-year-old discourse about this thing. Just like,
I guess let me go down to my cellar and uncork a classic 2002
the cask of Moe Teatro.
I bricked myself in.
Yeah, I absolutely bricked myself in, just being like, it seems real bad to have a girl that's this is what femininity is being helpless and baby and having to have spirits to your fighting for you. That seems bad. That seems pretty contrasty to modern gender kind of movements. It was very quaint.
Yeah.
I realized what I was doing. It was a very funny, like, what the fuck, man, you're 42. It's very funny.
Back to the point about the Plink Plonk La La music.
Oh yeah.
Which is, it's pretty flat. Like it is there. It sets a mood, and it like is kind of melancholy for a whole level. That cannot be the entire thing there. It just kind of ends up being real kind of limp. Which is not what I care for. It's fine for a scene, fine for a pensive kind of empty area in between things. But if I'm going and fighting stuff, it's not going to be there for me. Very few, it ends up being that we're talking about that because it makes a really bad first impression. Because like basically after you get out of the tutorial area, that's what you're hit with. Not every track is like that.
It gets better.
Yeah,
it gets significantly better as you go through the game. Like some of the music in this game is actually really good.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, it's just bad first impression. Yeah. It's also evoking Gwyn sadness for characters and bosses that don't deserve it.
Yeah.
When it's using it, it is trying to make me think of the quiet tragedy of this and go back to us talking about the writing. Like I just this couldn't touch my heart if it had a sniper rifle aimed at it. Like there's nothing about this that made me feel a thing.
Yeah.
Once you purify a boss to get their spirit, you get a little motion comic of what they were like, their role in the world, and your knight says, "Man, isn't that tragic?" To you. None of these I thought were good.
Yeah.
Fine little drawings, but I just I don't know. There's no interesting characters in this.
I appreciated getting like a glimpse, even if it was in motion comic, of the actual conflict that led to this kind of stuff in a genre that is almost entirely fixated and trapped in the aftermath. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It was cool to see the civilization. I wish it was a more interesting civilization.
Yeah.
I know that comparing these games is not necessarily fair, but it is really hard to think of this and then the civilization in like grime. Yeah. You go to Sheeply Findus, and you get to the grand celebration or whatever it's called. And it's like, oh, this is the civilization of this world, but it's interesting. It doesn't feel like a stock generic fantasy, like dark fantasy thing.
It ends up being kind of like a weird audience mismatch kind of deal, because in a lot of ways you're designing this for fans of a thing, and also giving them something that is very much the exact same kind of thing that might have brought them here, which, as I say, it doesn't sound like an unreasonable thing for a developer to do. To draw somebody in with a promise and then deliver on it. That is not specifically what I'm trying to talk about. But just kind of the sameness. When there's no delta, it's just kind of like, why wouldn't I just go play Dark Souls?
Usually there's a twist.
Yeah, there's something additive on top of it, as opposed to
it presents as this, but really this other thing is going on.
Yeah,
not the case here. It's just presents as this. And also, again, throwing out that caveat, we are an audience that has been souls pilled to the absolute gills. Like we have played more than the average person's number of souls likes and games in bleak worlds with undead curses.
Yes.
If let's say you're coming at this from a Metroid angle, maybe some of these tropes are new and cool, and an absolute by the numbers version of it does something, and I don't want to take that away from you. It's just, welcome, welcome to the world of bleak undead kingdoms. There's so much goodness that awaits you. Yeah. We're glad to have you.
There are lots of ways that this articulates.
Yeah. Check them out. There's not a lot of information about the development of this that you can find. If you look around for details on this, it's not, I remember it making an impression and people talking about it, but it hasn't made a really big lasting impression in terms of like post dives or postmortems and stuff from the developer, things like that.
I found one interview with, I believe, the director or producer on the game. It was like a 15-minute kind of thing, and it was really basic information. I didn't find a lot of like insight to pull from it, which is fine. Developers aren't PR people.
It's all that's not their fault. We were looking for more insight and it doesn't exist, and that's okay.
But Livewire, they had worked on a few shoot 'em ups before this, kind of always teaming up with other developers. After this, they co-developed Harvestella with Square. So looking at where these folks are going, AdGlobe, the other team, this was their first game, but they went on to work with Nintendo pretty closely on Pokemon stuff. Weirdly, the Diamond and Pearl remakes, and also the new Pokemon Snap. Just a real kind of mishmash.
Yeah. All things I have no particular animus for.
Yeah.
New Pokemon Snap's fine. It was revealed, this game was revealed at PAX Online in 2020, launched early access in 2021 in order to get player feedback in kind of its last stages before it was released. It reviewed really well. This, netting mid 80s on Metacritic. A lot of, if you go around on YouTube, since I beat this a long time ago, I was trying to find a good playlist of all the bosses to kind of remind me who they were, because they all have names like, Dorklon.
Dorklon the Unforgiven.
The Unforgiven, the Elder Lancer, Dorklon. So I was looking for that, and a lot of people really like it. So we're the outliers on this. Sold 600,000 copies in the first year. By February of 2023, it topped 1 million copies, so a success. And a follow-up has been teased. We're going to be able to come back and see what's going on with these white priestesses.
The developer this was just this past month as of recording, but said just like look forward to a continuation of the Ender Lilies story, which cool. People like this, they're going to get more of it.
Good for them. I'm going to big pass, but I am glad that it will exist.
Go with God.
And then AdGlobe and Binary Haze just released a tactical RPG called Redemption Reapers. Never heard of that. I do love tactical RPGs, but I have no idea what that is about.
Like their big trailer for release was talking about all these like team tactics kind of things that were going on with
said
like
team
combo
or
tech.
Teen.
What do you think?
No, team tactics is kind of I don't know. I kind of like that.
Sorry, team. Michael, not Nathan. It got real like technical with like the ways that units would work together. Looks neat and crunchy, Has kind of a gothic aesthetic. Might be cool.
Yeah. Let's run a series of after school programs called Teen Tactics. You and me.
Now you got to make sure that you're not going to get points.
Use your consumables, teens. It's
you will always find more.
Our video game boot camp, and then these kids just absolutely like slam our dicks in a car door in Fortnite. Just like, I don't even know if Fortnite's still relevant. Like whatever kids are, they just Genshin Impact us into the dirt.
Roblox my ears.
We tried. Sorry. That was the shortest after school special or program that's ever been. RIP Teen Tactics.
Oh man.
You can form your own Chimera squad by finding 3 weird friends. So that's gonna be for the generalities. Let's get into it.
Let's do. So we open up with our character, with Lily being woken up in this crypt. This red mote of light approaches and then turns into the umbral night. Saying you can thank you can thank the priestess for my incorporeal form. But he realizes, she's woken up and rubs her eyes and does a bunch of moe shit. Like, oh,
Yep.
she's lost her memory of what happened to the land. So he's gonna be explaining stuff to us.
Yep. We do our tutorial, just here's a ledge, jump, hold the button to jump higher. To get on our way out. We find a letter on the ground, the first a lore note that doesn't require fighting stuffing, from a character named Aline to a character named Sigrid, asking her to deliver the amulet to the white priestesses, which will protect them from being blighted.
Yes, this is kind of the thing that keeps you protected. You're blight resistant, but not blight proof, as we're going to find.
Yes,
going through the game here.
Getting blight proof is what you do to get the true ending. You get blight proof so you can purge the blight without taking the blight.
Yes. Yeah. And Sigrid, the person that this was addressed to, is your guardian. This is a person who was posted up. We're going to find her here. She is a nun, kind of waiting at the entrance. And she has like these bony wings, like angel wings that have been stripped of all their meat and stuff. And she's barely able to speak. She has been taken by the blight.
Yep. She attacks with a flail. She is not super hard, but she does have a second phase.
Yeah.
Once you get her health down in this very slow wind up dodge behind her boss fight, she turns into a big monster nun. She swings her claws in a charge. When you eventually take her out, she petrifies, and this is where we get her tragic backstory. I was supposed to protect you. We touch her and purify her, and we get this little memory scene about her. Yeah. She despairs that the white priestess died while she was assigned to protect her sister, Lily. There is a little bit of a twist as to who Lily, the title, there's multiple Lilies. There's a clone that's happening. But this gives us her spirit, which is our first alternate attack.
Right.
Which gives you a flail. She'll stand there and hit the flail a few times. This is the first attack keyed towards doing stamina damage.
Yes.
And then if you jump, it will do a spin. That goes towards the upper right, kind of like a Castlevania, like almost like an axe. Yeah. Not quite as far, but it goes that way. And then also gives you a double jump.
Yes. Yeah. Double jump right away is nice.
Love it.
And I relied on this flail quite a bit, actually. The ground version is not very useful. So I would always use the air one. And most of my attacks were happening when I was in the air anyway. Just for my, because you can air dodge right out the gate. Just kind of always jumping around and stuff. The air version of this has a pretty wide attack.
Yeah, it's I ended up moving off this pretty quick, but it wasn't bad or anything.
Yeah.
I moved off it because I was getting new stuff and trying to try it early on, and then just fell into a complacent groove.
Yeah.
With stuff that worked. Yeah. This first level you go into, the White Parish. This is with the worst video game soundtrack song I've ever heard. It is ruined by this rain of death. So the blight comes down in a rain. Right. And it's constantly raining here. We're going to be underground and stuff, so we're not constantly raining in the game. But in this world, it never stops raining.
Right. And a little bit of history on this. The blight had been bubbling up, like it had been a naturally occurring thing. And that sparked this war to try and keep it down, but everything was totally wiped away when the rain of death came. There was just no possible way to, even avoid getting exposed to this as it came. And the reign of death has been continuing, ever since the kingdom fell.
One of the things that I find disappointing in this game is that the way that blight works in this, it doesn't just make you a zombie. Like we kept saying zombies. It does make zombies, but can also merge you with like an animal.
I love that. Where you find a boss that's like the Western merchant and it's a crow.
But wait, they should do so much more with that.
Yeah.
Like there should be chimeras left and fucking right in this. Like gross people with like moose heads and, all kinds of shit. Rabbit tails. Can you imagine a man with a rabbit tail? It's disgusting. Like just do all this stuff. Like it should be 100% way more imaginative enemies. Whereas like when you get here, the horse that kind of brought you and your guardians, the sanctuary is on the other side of this bridge blighted. We're going to get him eventually. And we get the red and white lilies we talked about that replenish there, but we're fighting a lot of like skeleton guys, skeleton knights and skeleton archers, like just zombies.
Yeah.
And blighted youth, which are just slugs. Like they're little slugs that do leap attacks. Finding out that they are once kids is kind of cool. But instead of being a twisted abomination of a child and slug, it's just a slug that we're told as a kid. I really wanted more imaginative enemy designs based on the premise of this blight.
Yes. It's a missed opportunity.
Yeah. Run into one specific youth who calls for its mother, and this is a mini boss. He is the mini boss versions of regular enemies you fight. Always have like a little bit. They're like a little tougher.
Yeah.
Like these are generally pretty welcome to me. Like I like how these articulate. And if you see if you see an enemy attack in a level, you can usually get it.
Yes.
I think that's really cool.
I mean, again, going back to the Castlevania, that's more of an Aria thing, actually.
Yeah.
Or, Dawn of Sorrow, Aria of Sorrow thing.
Yeah. Yep. And very welcome. Again, the coolest part of this game to me.
Yes.
You defeat this little sluglet and get a spirit, which gives you a slug bomb. Like you toss a slug basically and does a little AoE where it lands.
Yeah. Pretty useful for clearing platforms for when you're going to get to. These slugs come back in a big bad way. These eventually become one of the main ways that platforming gets complicated. Is them just putting waiting slugs on platforms, sometimes obscured behind foreground clutter, to just dive up into the air and intercept you as you're on your way down. Something about this game that is good is that your dodge gives you just a ton of iframes. It's a really useful dodge, even before you get it upgraded. Something that is bad, I don't know why I'm doing a fucking compliment sandwich here, is that if an enemy hits you, either with an attack or touches you, the knockback is Ninja Gaiden level.
Yeah. You get pretty seriously knocked back. It's all plays into the, like, it is necessary to use your defensive vocabulary. You have to parry, you have to dodge, and they want the consequences of it to be appropriately devastating.
Yes.
What it means when you get into platforming later, and it's not really worth calling out individual chambers because there's a bunch of them, and there's basically one in each biome, but there'll be a big platforming chamber where you are going on platforms above, and you just get knocked down to the bottom and have to do it again.
Yeah.
If one of these slugs get you. So, like, again, fine, but that is a punishment I don't like, of like, just go back to the bottom and try again. Just to make it the damage. Let me make more than one mistake.
Please.
Yeah.
But you get to a bench and the blighted horse that you saw earlier catches up to you. Its mind is gone, but it is just following this amulet that is on you. And this horse will act as your fast travel. So you can now move to any respite that you have been to before.
Yes. Good that they unlock it quick. We got a note here that talks about the white priestesses once beat back the blight. So good for them. And there's a path branch here. One thing about this game as a Metroidvania is it is more linear than you might expect.
Yeah.
A lot of times you are presented, this is not one of them. You can actually go up to the Cliffside Hamlet. I did these bosses in the reverse order, which is not the right way to do it. The Garod boss is much harder than the Witch, I think.
Yeah.
But this is one of the only times where you can go to an area in any order. Most of the time it'll show you a branching path. You go to one and there's just I can't get there without the Metroidvania ability.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you have to go the other way.
There's only one other time I can think of, and that's when the stockade opens up. Like after you get the wall climb kind of deal, you have an option of 2 places that you can go after that.
Yeah. It happens, but it doesn't happen very often.
Yeah. So I headed down here to the Witch's Thicket, and this area rules.
A dreadful euphemism. Like that is just one of the grossest things you've ever said. I just went down in the Witch's Thicket. Like, Jesus Christ, Ross.
Hey man, don't yuck my yum. Oh my God. No, it's a cursed forest full of mushroom wizards.
Yeah. It with whimsical waltz, magical waltz in the background. Deadwoods. This is cool. There are these fungal witches and wizards. Some of them fly. Yeah. They fire these slightly homing red shots. This is good foreshadowing for the boss.
Yes.
The boss is going to have a similar attack.
Something else I like about the visual design of this that is just coming up. The fact that every projectile is red fucking rules.
Mhm.
I love that they just established that visual vocabulary. Red and moving in the air, you got to get out of the way of it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no real reason to vary that up.
You know,
I guess if something has different elemental properties,
Mhm.
that can be useful, but it just is in terms of like semiotics. It's actually a really, it's a cool thing that the only other game I know that does that more or less is Enter the Gungeon,
Oh yeah,
where the
purple.
color of projectiles that will hurt you is always the same.
Yes.
And then ones that you've done are always a different color and have a different outline.
Mhm.
This is also the poison area, one of the many poison areas in this game. There are wizards that create these bursts of poison gas.
Boy, that fucks you up.
Yeah. It's no good. The way poison works in this is not a status effect. You take damage.
Yeah, it's a very aggressive damage over time kind of thing while you're in it.
While you're in it only.
Yes.
Deeper in, we get the crows. The crows do these little homing shots at you as well, and we'll kind of play keep away and try to stay away from you. Eventually, you're going to get a crow of your own.
Yeah. We get a little bit of foreshadowing of, different combat we're going to run into. There's a rusted blue ornament relic that you can get here that makes you do more damage when you're attacking from water. If you go down to the water, you can see that it is deeper than you can swim. You have to stick to the surface. And it's not a place you want to be because there are these pretty dangerous merman enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You end up fighting some.
There are two enemies that are underground or underwater.
Yeah.
I think eventually there's a big slime thing, I think, but for the most part, there's not very many. Underwater is its own biome with two enemies.
Yeah.
There is underwater combat in this eventually. And it's fine. You go deeper, there are these tree enemies. One is real big and will kind of warp around and teleport around from you. It's a little tricky. And these tree witches that will shoot multiple homing shots at you, like a spread of homing shots.
Yeah.
They're kind of like a mini boss or like night level enemy.
And you get into kind of a place that's more built up, actual stone structures that are webbed up with this kind of dark goop material, venom shit. Yeah. It's all venomed up. You can branch upwards and kind of run up along some chains to reach this fungal sorcerer mini boss, which is kind of a tougher version of the kind of wizard guy who casts the poison, the poison gas kind of thing. This is cool because the poison gas ability is also overpowered on enemies as well. So if you can count on
based, like if you get them in it will do consistent damage. It's not like Scarlet Rot or whatever in Elden Ring, like where it's a percentage of their hit points, which is what I was hoping for, because then it would be really good against end bosses. This was good for a while and then fell off in usefulness pretty hard for me.
Yeah.
I could not make it go the distance.
Yeah. While it was useful. Like I would keep this for when I had an enemy staggered and I just needed a consistent thing to lay down first while I was laying down as much other stuff as I could.
Yeah. Really good for stagger builds.
Yeah.
You reach the second respite here, the Witch's Hermitage, and there's an entrance to a building. This is a coven building, which has been overtaken by these woods and packed with many enemies that are all shooting projectiles from different angles. You end up in that kind of thing where projectiles are coming at you, freely through the geometry from any angle. So you have to learn to dodge them. A very neat 2D platformer, classic kind of thing.
Yeah.
Until you find a series of elevators.
Yeah. Getting down to some new enemies. Pot mimics are a real problem.
I hate that this game made these into regular enemies.
Yeah.
Like the first time it happened, I was like, yay, mimic. Because of course I was like, mimics are great. And then eventually you just go into a room where there's just like 3 mimics. Like they just become part of the enemy palette.
Yeah.
Like it becomes boring. Like they're not trying to fool you. It's just like that's a mimic. I guess I gotta fight it because it's in the way.
Yeah. Cool thing about mimics in Dark Souls is that there are 4 of them.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's not rare. This first one, big delight for me though, because the first time I run into a mimic in a game, I'm always very happy.
Yeah. You also find this floral sorceress mini boss, and this is kind of your second big stagger move she has, which is this kind of column of air slashes. Kind of things ends up being real useful for the boss for this area.
Yeah. When we leave the building, we head east and downward. We do some navigation. There are these upward flowing waterfalls that you can kind of float in. You can swim up in to do some platforming. At a certain point, the deeper pools of water get blighted, so we cannot be in them. They'll cause damage over time if you fall in them or you're submerged.
Yeah.
But we have to jump past them, go deeper and deeper until we get to the boss, Dark Witch Eileen.
Yeah. Had problem with this one until I learned the moves. Ultimately, it's not. It was just me kind of learning the game's language, I guess, kind of rising to meet it. Man, there was just that one attack. So she primarily attacks by shooting these, red shots at you. There's a spread shot with, a kind of light homing, but there's this one where she kind of does like a little bowling ball throw very quick. And it flies at you very fast. And, I ended up needing to really learn her, physical tells for when that thing was coming, because you pretty much have to dodge during the wind up in order to successfully get past it and get through it. And as the phases go on, she starts throwing more and more of them and then following it up with melee attacks.
Yeah. In phase 3, she turns into like a weird spider lady and will always do this little tentacle attack and warp right after she attacks. She's the most consistent boss, I think. That you fight, because early on she just does she either throws the cluster of red things that don't home very well, or the big one that homes pretty well, and that's it. Like just those two things, then teleports around and then adds a pillar, like a slash pillar, which is not too big a deal, and then that attack that she does after every attack. So like once I knew what she was doing, it just became like, okay, dodge attack. I know this is going to be 3 attacks. It's also worth noting, maybe part of the reason I had an easier time with this is because I did the other boss first.
True.
So it was higher level and I had his attack.
Yeah, I could see that. Although the most useful attacks for me in this ended up being, like, I already had them. I had Sigrid, the flail, and I also had the air pillar, the floral sorceress kind of deal.
Oh, I went very different with mine. If ever I can use a gigantic big fuck off hammer, I will. Like I always want a slow strength weapon in video games, basically. And ended up doing that instead. So we ended up doing pretty different builds. In this.
Yeah, but just the fact that she was floating around made both of those attacks to me feel like very good fits for her, because those are both airborne, kind of upward attacks as they go. Something that is generally true, but is more true for some bosses than it is for others, is that this does play into the Souls kind of deal where the bosses react to you. Like you can, by keeping distance and kind of being at the right spot on the screen, goad them into particular patterns of attacks, which is nice. Like that is kind of a varsity level move as far as some of these go. And that is a welcome kind of nicety, and became a pretty crucial part of strategy. Yeah.
After you get her memory and purify her, she talks about how the coven, failed, and hopes for the safety of Freesia, the priestess of the fount.
Right.
And wouldn't want to be her.
Yeah,
I guess.
Fredia is the Freesia. I think of.
They never say it. There's no voicing.
There is no voicing to it. Yeah, that's the main white priestess. The last one who was left around, of whom you are a clone.
She gives you a really useful spirit summon, which I use for basically the whole game, which shoots homing fireballs, and you get 70 uses. It can also be used underwater. Not all attacks can be used underwater, which is relevant because she gives you the witch's bubble, which allows you to swim deeper down past the surface.
Yes. Opening up some areas right now, mostly in this, so like I just, instead of warping back up to the crossroads, went around. Some of the places that were blocked off by water include this priestess's quarters, where you do find the other clone, the one who was dead. All of them are dead. There's nobody else is like, hey, what up, me? But she's lying on the floor, and this gets you the priestess's wish, which upgrades your healing prayers.
You get a wish. You pick up her wish. And then you crack open her dreams and drink her ambitions. This makes your heal better. The first few of these is really useful, and then I was man, why am I not getting more fucking Estus charges? Eventually, it can get them, through ring slots.
Yeah.
But it really felt like I wanted more uses of heal, not better heals.
Yes.
So if you take the upward path at the crossroads, we go to the cliffside hamlet. There is a gate built into in this built up part of this parish. It's guarded by a blighted knight with a shield. These guys are no problem. Death behind him. And we get into this dense urban area. A lot of houses on the street, ramshackle, kind of Warren like houses.
Yeah. And you got to pass through them. You got to pass through them and over them to get here. They're not just background features. This is a neat level. I like this.
Yeah. There are a lot of the just kind of blighted warriors and archers. They're going to be there through the whole game, basically.
Yeah. There's
blighted ravens that do their magic, do keep away, and sometimes they're in, big numbers.
Yeah. They'll add up if you don't thin them out.
Yeah. Eventually you run into big guys, these big kind of fat monster guys who do these butt stomps.
It's just the Vanguard demon.
Yeah, it's a Vanguard demon. You eventually can get him as a summon, but not until pretty late in the game. You need to go kind of far up the Metroidvania tech tree there. And this is where I was introduced to the degenerate tactic of attacking people through the floor.
Oh yeah.
If a guy is on another level than you can hurt them without ever engaging with them. Which was useful for these guys.
Yeah. If enemies can do it to me, I enjoy being able to do it to them.
Yep. You go into a little hidey hole and fight a mini boss version of the crow to get the Western merchant. Merchants get turned into crows.
And this is another homing projectile. I can see this being useful if you came here before you went down to the thicket, but I've got a lane, so no need for crow.
Yeah, I used a lane anyway, probably because I had upgraded it and I didn't realize that things were leveling up to my upgraded level. At first, I was still like, I put stuff into this. It's actually smart about that.
Yeah.
And again, though, I don't know which one is better. There's probably min-maxing stuff.
Partway through this level, you do kind of branch down to get another mini boss, this headless defender. This is a knight who does these really long-reaching combos. And this gives us kind of the mini parry is the reward for this. He will come in and block with his shield, and if you time it just right, it will stagger enemies.
Yes. Yeah. Not as useful as I wanted this to be.
Right.
And also you eventually get the actual parry and it's great. The main thing here is to fight Grodd the Elder. This big mace guy does these kind of swing combos and pounding his mace down, and then gets faster at this. Yeah. It gets a shockwave in phase 2. In phase 3, he's faster and more aggressive. Does a shoulder charge. It was hard for me when I first ran into him, but I don't know if he's hard. Yeah.
I had more trouble with him even coming to him second. I had more trouble with him than I did with the witch. Yeah.
Kind of a tricky little jerk, but just a big guy with a big hammer, video game boss.
Yeah.
That text.
Yeah. Is going to be one of the first 2 bosses you run into in one of these games.
In any of these. Yeah. For people new to this, just FYI, get used to this guy.
His memory talks about kind of the sacrifice that he had made. He became an immortal knight to protect the town and to protect the priestess, of course, because everything revolves around this priestess. And he did this, and people reviled him when he came back from the battle. This battle at the Twin Spires, which we're going to go to later on. People are like, "Hey, you're basically no better than the Blighted," and he was outcast because of it.
Yeah. He gave me my weapon I used for a long time up until I got another big hammer. I got the medium hammer, but this is the Giant's hammer. It's another unlimited use. So they'll telegraph whether something is like a weapon replacement or a spell replacement, basically.
Yeah.
Big slow hammer that also lets you do a ground slam to pound through these pustules on the ground. You can do that without the hammer equipped. So it's both a Metroidvania move and a weapon. My impetus behind, so the damage upgrade is real.
Yes.
With this guy, like it's like you do 350 damage as opposed to like 90. 110, which I was doing with the sword at this point.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the bosses, my thinking behind wanting to do big alpha strikes was that I was only getting 1 hit in anyway.
Right.
In between like safe spots. So I just wanted it to count. And I wanted these boss fights to fucking end. So if I could make, do damage was the name of the game.
Yeah.
Like how much damage can I possibly do to this thing so I can move on? Because I've seen this first phase 1,000 times.
Not
1,000 times. Like these weren't like millennials. I've seen this first phase 6 times. and I'm sick of seeing it.
Yeah, I'm ready to be done with it. Yeah.
It also does this is also a hybrid that does good stagger and health damage.
Yes.
So it's kind of both.
Yeah. I ended up replacing him with Silva when I got her.
Me too.
Like you get 2 hammers right in a row.
And one's just faster. Like it does a little less damage, but is much faster.
It's weird, but it's faster, but you can also charge it. So it has a hold on it as well. But my primary build was like I keep a fast attack on X on an Xbox controller, and on Y, like where a strong attack would be, I keep one of these, one of the hammers. Which ended up serving me pretty well because again, you can summon that thing and then while it's swinging, go and do a different attack. So it ended up being like kind of fun to work together combos with it. Also with that ground pound, you're going to run into a bunch of enemies that are just real annoying little guys. And being able to do the butt stomp to take all of them out just at will, without needing to have anything special equipped, is a really good and welcome ability. Much more useful than this just as a key.
Yeah. There's beyond him, there is a dead end, but we can get into a house in the background to grab another dead priestess's wish. The way forward is through a membrane that we have to go through partway back. We can jump on. These membranes are interesting. Some of them you can just bash open, but some of them you have to get some height.
To
bash open. I felt like that was not communicated very well. I thought I was looking for another upgrade because it gives you a bounce off animation if you do it from insufficient height. But you don't need the full height for all of them. Like sometimes you can just bash through. It's just thick ones.
There's a similar signaling problem with the vertical ones that you need to dash through. There were some of them that you needed because there are 2 speeds of the dash, and you build up speed as you go. There are some of them where it's not clear that you need to get a big run up to it. Yeah.
It's like they're bigger, but again, I don't know if I need another item for that.
Right.
But we go through this and we go down into this sewer catacombs.
Running into just real problem enemies. These bomber guys.
They're directly from Dark Souls 2. They literally are the exact same thing as the hollows that run up and do the Moe dodge roll at you and belly flop and explode. Actionably so. Like some of them explode into poison gas, some of them explode into explosions. Like it's just an enemy directly ripped from Dark Souls 2.
But they do a shitload of damage to you.
They ain't fucking around. You want to kill them in advance if you can.
So the thing is, killing them doesn't stop them from exploding. Hitting them just triggers the attack. It's better to trigger them on your terms if you know that you're going to want to get out of the way. Hitting one on accident and getting caught in the blast because you didn't realize you activated it is also a problem.
You don't want to do it on accident. This is where you get Freesia or Fertia or Fertata's ring near the entrance of this, which gives you the parry. The parry in this is really strong. It can be used on projectiles. It is welcome and it is fun to engage with. I don't understand why they put it like a fourth way through the game, but it's it's good now that I have it.
It like train. I don't know, man. Getting that and training with it on Garad the Elder, big slow attack kind of thing. That feels like a pretty good way to learn how to use this. Yeah.
Well, and I would have known it if I had learned it from the beginning. I just would have been doing that this whole time. Like it's real weird. They give you the Headless Knight, which gives you a version of this, and then very shortly after that, they give you a way better version of it. You don't have to equip. Like this is a relic, but it costs 0 to equip. Which is the kind of way they kludged it together. Like it's just an ability you have. It's free. You should be doing it. It's just a weird design thing. It's a weird move.
So the Umbral Knight kind of talks about this here when you're at this respite, saying, there are signs of the ancients all over down here. Land's End, this kingdom used to belong to them, and he knows because he is the last of them. This is said with the cadence of a reveal. I couldn't care about an ancient.
I did I miss the motion comic? Did I miss the webisodes that lead into this? It's the first time hearing about this. Why is this supposed to have emotional impact?
Just pull out my vape. Fucking crazy, man.
Oh man, you don't say. The platform here is trickier, and the main enemy here are spiders. So the blight turn these guys into spiders. They hang and swing. They fire projectiles. They do whatever a spider can.
Yeah.
And there are kind of two types. There are the hanging ones and then the ground ones. There, and then the Dark Souls 2 exploding guys.
Yes.
The most irritating enemy to me are these fly nests.
Yeah.
That spawn infinite flies. The flies dive bomb you and explode.
Yes.
You have to get rid of the nest because the flies will keep spawning. This felt tuned in an irritating way to me, where if you're attacking the flies, they'll just stay there forever.
Yeah.
And all your projectile is home. So you cannot aim at the nest to ignore the flies.
Right.
Your projectiles will miss the nest because they will try to aim at flies. So you have to make your way through these clusters of these flies that explode and do like pretty decent damage to you to get up to them. Like I wanted a lock on. I wish that I could have like aimed a reticule for my projectile attacks for these things.
Yeah. And again, who knows if they would have used that reticle to good effect. That might have just ended up making boss fights tougher, than just if they were designed around having homing. It's counterfactual, so who's to say? It did end up being a problem here. Also, like once you see your first fly, it makes for an interesting tactical kind of situation on paper, which is, okay, I see the first fly. That means there's a generator here, which means that the longer that I take on this platforming that I'm doing before I find that, the more of these flies I have to deal with.
Yeah.
So like I need to make a beeline and not necessarily sweat a lot of what I'm doing until I find this thing and take it out. Because otherwise this is just going to stack and stack and stack up to the point where like it kind of doesn't make any sense to thin out the flies on the way, because they're just going to spawn more of them.
You just get to a point where the nest has all these flies around it and you cannot safely get close to it to hit it without taking damage.
Yeah.
That's the part that sucked to me because I can't engage it at range.
Yeah.
There's a mini boss here that you get, the Ancient Crypt Keeper, who is an old spider and gives you a spider web thing. I use this a lot.
Okay. I'm curious. Did the hold down work well for you?
Yeah. Yeah. And it also fires tons of attacks. So if you had something in the right angle, it'd hit a bunch of times. So this ended up being a go-to the gargoyle knight things that are in the castle.
Oh shit. Yeah.
This was the go-to for that because it came out at the exact right angle to hit those things with all of them. And they'd be frozen enough for me to do a charged up follow-up that would kill them.
Gotcha.
So I could one-shot those guys with this. It's got a weird arc. It's a very high, low range arc.
That was the thing that stopped this from feeling very useful to me. Was the lob kind of aspect of it. Yeah.
I ended up finding use for it, but then again, I just got, maybe there are better things that could have accomplished the same thing. I just got complacent because I got used to it.
Yeah. It's the way she goes. You go deeper and you reach kind of this sub-level portion here, the Sunken Cathedral. It's not carpeted with corpses, it's carpeted with skulls. Everything is skulls.
Yep. You get down there, there's a mini boss Archer, the fallen Archer from Venture Brothers, has shown up. Just does single shots and spread shots. The spirit gives you a spread shot once you have him. I'm all full up on projectile weapons. Thank you. It might have been useful for the nest actually, because it would go in a straight line.
Yeah.
It doesn't home, but even then a fly is very likely to get in the way, it felt like.
Yes.
And we're finding lots of memos around here around these atrocities and these battles of the Twin Spires, where something called the Blight Lord showed up. And Freesia starts feeling like her blight is starting to settle in. She's getting blighted up. Yeah.
This is a problem because, that isn't supposed to happen. But when you're the last priestess and you're doing the purifying work of many, many of them, it ends up being, an issue. So this is where you start.
Burnout is real. YouTube thumbnail.
This is where they started throwing the leaping child enemies at you, the slugs, where I started really finding them annoying, and they never really stopped doing that. So welcome to hell.
In a general sense, this is a lot like The Wire, where no characters are abandoned. Like every enemy that's introduced most enemies introduced will continue to show up. throughout the game. Reach the main cathedral, and Silva attacks, who is Sigurd's twin, who we're going to meet. There's a headless statue of a white priestess in the background. So we're fighting Guardian Silva.
Yeah.
Another nun.
Mm-hmm. Her wings are a little bit more intact,
Yep.
and she wields a big hammer instead of the spinny mace. She's faster, and she's faster than Sigurd, and does some spread shots. The first phase is very easy at this point. Phase 2 gets her faster, and the spread shot gets a little bit more homing. Also pretty easy. What I end up having problems with is phase 3, when she goes monster mode. She, like Sigurd, will turn into a big monster nun and gets these huge AoE energy attacks and this dash that I found very impossible to jump over or dive through. You know?
Parry.
Yeah, tried.
It's one of those things where they present it as one of many options, but a lot of times it's the only option.
Yeah.
She also kind of breaks the enemy's phases escalating sensibly rule.
Oh yeah,
like she kind of
completely new move set. Yeah.
Yeah, it just turns into a separate boss. You beat her. Her memory talks about how she thought she had a way to protect the priestess from the blight, but failed. Foul mages and their blasted potion. I was meant to be a guardian. And she caught the blight and killed her priestess in a rage. Feels very bad about it, which I don't care about, but I do care that she gives me her hammer as a weapon, which is really good. It splits the difference. It doesn't do quite as much damage as the last hammer. I end up switching back and forth between this hammer and that hammer, depending on whether I needed very high burst damage or something a little bit more versatile. But this was my bread and butter weapon for the rest of the game.
Yes. I really enjoyed this one quite a bit.
Yeah. It's really good. That
charge up is great.
It's really, really useful. Especially, when mimics lose their charm in this game, and you're just like, that is a pot that's going to turn into an enemy.
Oh yeah.
Like, doing a charge attack and then laying a summon on it is very useful, because the mimics everything's fucking tanky in this game. But the mimics are super tanky and cannot be staggered. She gives you an item called the Guardian's Wings, which, as opposed to double jumping, which would seem like, it makes your dodge good.
Yes.
You now do a video game dodge instead of falling over on your belly.
Yeah, it's like a little air dash. And this is a Metroidvania kind of thing. There were some jumps that you could not make before that now you can.
You also get something called the Last Rites ability, which introduces a super meter, like an SP meter. This is filled by killing enemies, and this allows you to trigger like a super attack based on the spirit you have here. The absolute secret, goatness of this ability is that it gives you iframes.
Yes.
This ends up being really key to a bunch of the final bosses of the game. Deploying this at the right time and being invincible for a little bit just adds a lot to your kit.
Yeah. Me with my dumb meat hands, I'm playing this with an analog stick. You trigger this by pressing up and then hitting whatever attack you're going to use. The number of times I deployed this accidentally was kind of off the charts. My instinct is not to hold that against the game, but also it was detrimental to me. I'll blame myself, but I don't know. Click both sticks or something. Got no idea what I would rather see.
Remember if this has remappable controls or not.
I don't know if the combo is remappable.
Yeah, because that would be the solution.
Yeah,
put this on something different. This is where your character starts getting degraded. You're getting all blighted up. You get these little red tendrils in your hair. Your perfect white, pure little babiness is getting corrupted.
Yeah, you're turning into a monster girl.
Yeah. You're just going from shonen shorthand to shonen shorthand. The Umbral Knight says, there'd be no shame in running from all of this.
Right.
But then a white spirit appears and tells you that you're the only hope against the blight.
Yeah.
So you have to go to that.
Yes, there is pure water far away.
Snowy land. So we're heading there to the Twin Spires.
Yeah, which has been talked up as the site of this horrible tragedy. You know, it's snowy. This is like a fortification, kind of deal. There's, tall towers here, completely stopped up by black goo. More of this kind of blight matter going on. And there's kind of this mini boss here that I found pretty tough. This Fallen Sentinel. His charge attack was a pretty big problem. Not commensurate. Actually, no, wait. It was commensurate. I ended up relying on this. I forgot what it was. That the spear guy with the charge attack. This is amazing for hitting like long lines of enemies. Yeah.
I was pretty set in my ways at this point. I don't remember. I probably experimented with this a little bit, but did not get tons of use out of it.
Yeah, this is good area clearing.
Yeah, I could see it.
Yeah.
It's also worth noting that this is a game where it wants you to fight every enemy on the way, but you can just start running past stuff.
True.
And you don't want to. Like, I'm not saying that was a good thing, but I was very tempted to do it. These levels are big.
Yeah. And when you see the same enemy for the, nth time, the temptation's there.
Yeah. Yep. So we head right into these spires themselves. We're seeing a lot of enemies we've seen from the Hamlet. There are now axe throwers as well. They're just Castlevania axe throwers. They throw in an axe arc, and these flying gargoyle things. These are the guys I was talking about, who I use the webs on.
Yes. Yeah. I could see that being useful for them.
The crows can teleport now. The crows will shoot, then teleport and shoot. But you just gotta get the dodge timing
right
for it.
But you're working your way up. This is a little bit more vertically oriented than Spaces had been before, without the problem of the catacombs having the long fall leading to doing stuff over again. There's very tough, like, it's not even like a mini boss that you get powers from. It's just very strong enemies. There are these two blighted dragons that are between the spires as you go back and forth between them.
Yeah, really tough. You don't have to fight them. You can just run by, but they give you a lot of experience. So if I had my SP meter attack, my last right charged, like that and a couple rounds of spider webs would take them out, and then the other one I would just kind of run past. This is the area where it starts introducing like kind of puzzle switch element stuff to the game.
This is fine. Like, okay, I need to send this elevator up to go beneath it because it's blocking the way forward. I need to go around it. Like, there's only so much space that can be explored with those blocks. But it's, I welcome the change of pace.
Yes. Yeah. It's this is fine when it gets to the next level for it, where there are a lot of, I can see the elevator I can go into, but the door's shut. So I have to take this long circuitous route around to hit the switch and then go all the way back and then go up through that door. They do that trick a few too many times.
Yeah.
Here and in the future.
Yeah.
That kind of bums me out. In terms of doing some cool video game like standards, you do an elevator with axe guys that spawn in. Like it's Streets of Rage or something.
Well, it's not even Streets of Rage. Like, this feels more like a classic Castlevania thing. They're on platforms that are kind of in the background. And the platform rides up, and they're throwing the axes in an arc, and you are benefited to take them out before they pile up, and start becoming a danger, at ground level for you on the platform.
Yeah. Yep. You get past them, and we're going up into the upper floor. There's a relic here you can get, which I didn't use this very much. We had different play styles of this. The Dragon Claw, which boosts your damage when you're doing an air attack.
Yeah.
There's one of these for water. There's one for when you're on the ground, and one for when you're in the air.
I mean, I would be adaptive depending on what, if I was just not not doing a lot of aerial stuff. I tended to prefer doing jump attacks. So this ended up being a pretty big deal for me. Again, offense is defense in this game.
Yeah. It's also that Castlevania thing. Like, you're still moving forward if you jump attack.
Yes.
The jump attacks form a tactical thing. They're not just like a style choice.
Yes.
They give you different movement. abilities.
Yeah.
Up at the top of here is Olv the Mad Knight, not to be confused with like Grungor the Elder or whatever his name is.
Yeah. And there have been notes talking about his heroism and how reliable he was, and now he's reduced to
Olv.
You got to.
Yeah.
It's a dual fight against somebody who is roughly your size, and he has claws, so not a lot of range initially. Eventually, this is upgraded with kind of extension energy on his attacks as it goes.
Well, he's got a very a signature attack here in the second phase. So you fight in the first phase, he just does these claw swipes. It reminds me a lot of the owl boss from Death's Gambit.
Oh yeah,
in terms of that. And then the second phase, he gets an X attack where he stands at the other side of the screen and he slashes and it hit scans you. It just causes a little X where you're at and you'll get hurt.
Yeah.
It's just for seeing the timing of it, but there's no projectile for it. You just have to parry it or dodge at the exact right moment. That took me a long time to get used to. The timing for it.
I guess it wasn't that big of a deal for me.
He also doesn't always do it. Like he does it. He has that. And he has the energy waves, which are much easier to dodge. That he sends, and he can send out 2 of them in the third phase. But in the second phase, he can only throw out 1.
Yeah,
and it's not so bad. It's just that X attack. If he's leaning on that, and I don't know if that has to do with what distance you're at or what. It's a hit scan attack. He just does an animation. You get hurt from the other side of the screen.
Oh, weird. That's not like anything else that has happened in this game.
No, it's not, and or will happen again.
No,
so you just had to, it was literally like a 1 like just knowing the timing of when he starts this, when to press the button. You could not go by a visual cue.
Yeah. I was pretty much, I tried to stay on top of him, just because of how quick he was. I didn't like giving him a lot of like lead up, just because that ended up, I don't know. It kept him from doing that, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
It felt like I had more control over the fight when I was up close.
Yeah.
Yep. And he ends up just with, this big energy wave uppercut kind of deal, and lots more area denial. Like the way this fight evolves, the hit scan thing aside, is pretty neat.
Yeah. Yep. After he dies from this, he gets flowers for her.
Don't worry, I'll make sure she gets them, bud.
Yeah, okay. Huge okay. Energy. We get his memory. He succeeded in fighting off the blighted of the tower, and everyone but the soldiers made an undying pact, or who had made an undying pact, and the priestess were gone. So just him alone. Try and tug at my heartstrings here.
Yeah. And the White Priestess, who was here, was one of the only few people who would talk
to make him feel like an idiot or something. Like it's really big dumb lug. Like she was the only one who understood me.
Yeah.
So he cultivated a flower field so he could give her one if she ever came back.
Right.
Whenever a character does something like that in a video game, I was just like, man, what do you do with the rest of your day? When someone's like, yeah, I dedicated my life to tending these flowers just in case this girl came back so I can give her one flower.
Yeah.
That is such an extremely like shonen-y thing to do. And I'm just like, what do you read a fucking book, man? Like how is this taking up all of your time?
Yeah.
It's literally what makes sometimes characters like this, and not in video games as well, like not just showing anime, feel very two-dimensional to me. Yeah. Is that they have this one thing they do and that's it.
Just a very simple motivation. Yeah.
Yeah. Extremely simple motivation. Just like the most shallow and simple motivation you could have. It bums me out.
Yeah. And also a bummer is he was waiting for this person to come back and they were right there all along, just dead on the other side of a wall that he never thought to check.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I'll go walk this 20 feet for you, big man.
Well, I mean, you don't walk it. You get his movement ability.
Oh, yeah.
You get the claws, which lets you cling to the side of a wall, which is really useful. It opens up a lot of exploration. Didn't so much care for the claw attack kind of deal.
Yeah.
Just because I already had a pretty fast attack, like the sword. The Umber Knight sword is plenty quick.
Yeah.
I
Turns
didn't
into
need.
big knuckles.
Yeah.
Like big knuckle. He has knuckles energy, so you get knuckles moves.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. So you got that now, and you can go to a few different places. I just had to go down to like I had this as like, all right, I've got a lot of verticality. I'm going to go do some exploration. Found a bunch of the stuff we talked about, see our generalities about the problems of the pickup economy here. But I did in my exploration, while going back down through the Witch's Coven building, came across this really dark area off of the Coven building, down in the thicket. And this leads to the stockade, which I definitely feel like I got too early, but you get a movement ability that is really important here, so I don't regret coming here first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know exactly the order. This is one of the few areas where you can go in multiple orders, and it might be a meat wall thing.
Yeah,
it's hard to know what's a meat wall in a game where the enemies have this much HP.
Yes.
Like this is hard. Is it inappropriately hard? I have no idea.
Yeah, couldn't tell you.
Yeah. You swim through an area full of mines to get here.
These are instant death.
They're
close
instant
to
death.
it.
Yeah, and sometimes they move.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like think of the Ninja Turtles second level on NES, where you're avoiding the seaweed, the electric seaweed. If that caused instant death, and you have a dodge roll that can go through it, but if you're just a pixel off, you die.
Yes.
And
later on, they start throwing in courses where you have to dodge roll, not just like if you're a pixel too short. Also, if you go a pixel too long, you are into the next spine. This is hell.
Yeah, it sucks. This does feel like you're here too early.
Yeah.
At this point. I didn't come here until later. Yeah. I don't think.
Yeah. It's full of enemies. You got these executioners who are kind of spectral. They teleport around. They're also teleporting assassins who get up real close to you. The fact that they teleport isn't that big of a deal because you're pretty mobile. However, that takes them off the board, and you get into like it's probably run into a lot of video game bosses, which is just, I can just decide that you're not going to do any damage to me for a while because I'm not on the board. This was like a mad dash for me to get through this area, actually.
Often a pet peeve of mine. I'm invincible now. Yeah. What's frustrating is you fight these guys and they feel a little bit like mini bosses. You get funneled to this end boss area of this, and this boss, Hoenir the Executioner, is just a little guy who summons these mini bosses at you. Yeah. For a boss that is just going to summon little guys at you, these little guys seem too tough to me.
This is not the rat authority or whatever.
Yeah,
I know authority is the
royal
big guy.
rat. Yeah. So what I ended up having to do, because trying to kill the executioners that he summons was folly. Yeah. I would spend enough time trying to kill one, then another one would come in. So I just got good at avoiding them, just to attack this little guy who was like jumping around and plinking at me. Yeah. And it was fine. Like once I got it, but it didn't feel like, in terms of boss fights, it feels like lower half execution to me. I have fought a summons a bunch of dudes boss that's a lot better than this. Is fine.
Yeah. Weirdly, that Sentinel summon ended up being a big deal for this because those executioners tended to line up. So just line a bunch of them up and fire through it does a pretty good amount of damage. So Yahtzee there.
Yeah. I did a lot of dodge rolling through them. Yeah. To get this little guy who's just playing keep away the whole time. This little prick.
Come on, Hagar. Come on.
Yeah. You eventually take out this coward. He talks about fleeing the blight with a priestess and ending up at his workplace, the execution ground.
Yep.
And he heard a message from the white priestess deep in the verboten domain.
Yeah.
Which, it's verboten. God, just the use of just like one single German word in the entire game is very funny to me. Exhorting all of the guardians to make sure nobody goes in after her. Yeah. She's suffering the blight for everyone. She's Gwyn. She's on fire, taking care of that.
Yeah. So, his spirit gives you this, quick short range spear attack. Again, I was all done up on, quick attacks. However, you do get the fool's version of a grappling hook, which is the Executioner's Hook, very unsatisfyingly only hooks to certain things, although it is physicsy when you launch off of it, so it's not as terrible as like a Tomba. As a Tomba one, you know?
It doesn't feel super good, and it's not very expressive.
Yeah.
Like, I think it like functionally would be just, there are certain walls you can only climb with this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's just to get you past certain elevator shafts, basically, or certain like vertical shafts.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine.
Yeah.
You know, fine. I wish that this had other utility. Like this should be able to pull enemies towards you or something as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like a certain enemy, do a Sekiro thing. You know, big enemy with a shield has a grapple point on it. Fire that off to stagger it or something.
Or pull the shield off. Like this could de-shield enemies. There's a lot of things this could do that would make it a little bit more exciting.
Yeah.
Like it's useful because there are areas I want to get to with that, but I didn't have tons of fun with it.
Yeah.
You know,
and with this, like outside of the the spirit that unlocks doors for you, no, there's another movement ability, but like this is the big one, yeah. This opens up more of the stockade for you if you want to. They're like individual cells that you can go into.
Yeah.
Yep. But you're primarily just going to get story here. Like, you know, it's news to the Umbral Knight that the white priestess is down, down in the verboten domain. Like, okay, we thought that she was going to be far along at the Fountainhead, but actually, plans changed.
She's in the Science Land.
Yes. Yeah. We can go to where you thought that she was. Kind of these hinterlands, behind the execution grounds, out behind this, out behind the Twin Spires, we get to this place called the Hinterlands, and it's just snowy, very short section. We get this vision of a white priestess, of Frecia, Fretia or whatever, appears and kind of lures us, beckons us, let's say, into this cave with this huge white lotus in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You purify it, and the white priestess memory speaks to you. The white priestess is responsible for the blighted state of the world, but Lily was born too soon to benefit from the blight-free world she was trying to create by purifying the Fountainhead.
Yeah.
So Lily wakes up, the red tendrils that accumulated in her hair are gone. She's been purified, and you're gonna nope out. The Umbral Knight's like, yeah, I can't follow you. I have a deathless pack. I have to stay here, but you go on, live your life. You give her a hug, and that's one of the endings.
Yes.
You can get. The blight sticks around. You have not saved the kingdom. You've just decided to go to another video game. I'm going to go see what's happening in Donkey Kong Country.
I'm going to go show that King K. Rool what for.
Yeah. I'm off to start a new life in New Donk City. And you head off. That is not the good ending of the game. As evidenced by the fact that you can get it about 2/3 the way through the game.
Yeah. I was like, wait a minute, is that it? Like, no, wait, did I really miss that much?
It'd be hilarious.
It'd be just very funny.
I need more characters in video games to be like, fuck this. Like, I don't want to do this. This is awful.
Like, are you guys serious?
Yeah. No way. That is not what a white priestess would do, though. She's brave but stalwart.
Yes.
She's not going to do that.
She will fulfill her duty no matter how suicidal it is.
Yep. And not have a word to say back about it. Not express any agency, because that's not what we're here for. She's Moe, baby.
Yeah.
Instead, we're going to go to the ruined castle.
Yes. You go to the Elder Garad kind of arena in the hamlet. There was a wall behind him that very conspicuously we could not, there was no door. There was no way up it. Here, now that we have the claws, we can climb up there and get to this place.
Yes. There's a mini boss that's a dog called the Castletown Maiden that got turned into a dog. I take that out and then never use it. The castle's been overtaken by venom stuff. So black and purple goo. It's thicker as you go up. And this is a big platforming, up in a bunch of platforming. They introduce just absolutely fucking spam ass enemies. Like every room has what feels like 4 mini bosses in it now.
Yeah. And do you remember earlier how Gary was saying you can run past enemies if you're just tired of it? Not here, because now the game starts putting in a little Hyperlight Drifter combat arenas. Doors lock and you got to kill everybody.
This is like one of my least favorite tropes in video games.
I hate it.
The end of this on the way to the boss fight where it does it like 4 times in a row.
Yep.
There's like 4 rooms with escalating enemies where it's like kill everybody. Kill me. So there are centaur knights in this that can charge, sorcerers. These are like the summoners in Doom. So they summon enemies, and then knights with big maces who cast spells. At least there's new enemies. But they all feel like they needed a marquee knight level enemy for this and then couldn't choose between 3 and just chose all of them.
Yeah. Porque no los tres.
Yeah.
There's also like a blighted tower shield knight that does not behave like a tower shield knight.
No.
It is just completely vulnerable from the front, which is wild. And also it fires projectiles from the shields. Weird choice. Not bad, but just weird. You do end up finding stuff like there's this relic called the Blight Wreath Blade that will increase your experience. There are a couple of these.
Most of the relics have 2 levels.
Yes.
It's like slightly increases and then just increases. This is the higher level one. You can get the slightly increased one like way earlier in the game.
Yeah.
Which is when it would be most useful. Even then you are making a choice between like long-term gains and short-term gains.
Yeah.
With these, because you're using up the resource of the slots. This is the second place where there are a lot of elevator things, and the more egregious of the two, where you are working to raise these walls to get into the central elevator. This is also where they introduce, I believe so, I think these show up here and in the verboten domain, the little sentry node things.
Oh God. Yeah, no, I forgot to make a note of these. Yeah. This is where you get so it's not an explosion. It's just like a red orb. That will rhythmically, do you have to be close to it? Fuck. I really wish I made a note of this.
It's okay. They're little red, like, orbs. They send out damage pulses when you're close to them. You can destroy them, which you need to do, but they start having them cover each other. And being at esoteric angles that you can't get to them with your ranged attacks from them. And some of them are kind of like interestingly placed. My take on this game is I kind of feel like this should have been the last level.
Yes.
This feels like Final Exam in a big way. Between dealing with pretty complicated platformer and navigation challenges with these damage ring things and the parade of mini boss arena rooms you have to go through. This really feels like an ending.
Yes.
To me. It's not, we have a lot more to do, but this feels like a climax.
Yeah.
Those things suck.
Yeah.
Those little guys suck.
And like it probably to me could have been solved if they were just again had less HP. They're pretty beefy for being an orb that occasionally blinks on and off.
They should 100% die in one hit. You just have to hit them, and that's the challenge.
Yeah, clear them off. Like they're like you said, they're sometimes put in really interesting angles. Like it can be pretty hard to hit. Like kind of test. They can test your knowledge of your different summons for different attack angles. Right, you've got those in spades. Yeah,
it's at the top of this thing where again you are doing these huge shuttle runs to unlock a gate. So you get up to an elevator. The elevator takes you to a new landing. There's another elevator. To get onto that one, there's a door, and you have to go all the way around to hit a lever. Then you go all the way back, go through that door, go up another elevator. Same thing. You do this twice. It's pretty tedious. And would be fine as a Final Exam kind of thing. Again.
Yeah. Yep. But there's more.
There's way more. On the way up, there is a mini boss you can fight if you have the grapple points. Called the One-Eyed Royal Aegis here. I did not fight this. I don't think I found it.
I think it just gets you another shield kind of summon guy. Yeah.
The main thing is the boss up here, Knight Captain Julius. When we go to the throne room, he comes down to attack. The king is dead at his feet. It's time for Julius.
This rules. I fucking love this boss fight.
It's pretty good.
Yep.
He does have, he has the big laser at the end, which if you're on the wrong side of it, you can be kind of fucked.
Yes.
And it will, is very capable of one-shotting you. I don't like a third phase that has laser that can one-shot you if you're in the wrong position. Because I didn't know what the right position was before that point.
Yeah. The wind up on it is pretty long though. So
Oh, for sure.
I got hit.
Like
I got
once
hit
you
by
know
it
what's
once,
coming.
and then
Yeah. Once you know what's coming, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, it's just there's nothing you can do about it other than get behind him.
Right. Yeah. But he's just a knight. This is kind of an Artorias kind of thing. He's got this big spear blade and primarily does like stabs, lunges, and like jump attack, kind of deals. And he's pretty slow, and actually, like, you can kind of tell he's a little bit degraded. But he gains more mobility. Like, this ended up being like one of the more I don't know, it felt pretty satisfying. It was almost like a rhythm heaven kind of thing where, like, okay, keep parrying, these attacks. And then a little bit later, it's going to be faster, but it's going to be a similar rhythm, kind of deal, getting in. Yeah. Just a real rewarding fight to learn to me.
Another reason why it probably should have been the last boss, because the next two bosses are not particularly rewarding.
Right.
IMO, the Unboss or the beloved Muriel
one. Yeah.
Yeah. Are not very good bosses. Once you beat him, we get the memory. The king is responsible for all this. Surprise, surprise, because he was obsessed with immortality.
Yeah.
Give me a fucking break again. The regent obsessed with immortality. We have been here. View the subjects who died to the blight as disposable. So Julius killed the king,
right,
as punishment.
Yeah, for his greed. And we're gonna learn specifically how that operates, but it has something to do with the immortal knights and the way that they got that way. But that's going to be the reason why the domain is verboten.
Yes, it's been forbidden verboten. We get his spear attack, which is a dash, and this will allow us to bust through vertical membranes. There again, sometimes you can do it from any distance. Sometimes you need a big run up.
Yeah. And a good portion of these last areas is going to be like, okay, I need to break through this membrane, but also I need like enough of a run up. And also there are going to be mines or those little danger nodes that I need to dodge through while keeping up this momentum.
Yeah. Or like dutifully clear them out.
Yes.
And try to clear the path if you can. We have all the movement abilities now, so we can go sweep up anything that we missed. Basically, we can go down the path beneath the witch's coven. Excuse me. Has a time door that we have to dash through. Like we do, again, one of my least favorite video game verbs, and it's not this game's fault. This shows up all the time. Shows up in the Resident Evil 4 remake. You hit a switch and then a door will slowly close and you have to dash through an area to get through it.
Right.
Just never like that. There's one where you can't do it unless you have the dash.
Yeah.
So we can get through it, and there's a big giant blob. There's Lord Blobulon.
Yeah, it's like a tumor Shoggoth kind of thing. I don't like this. This is instant death, is what this is. He attacks by at a distance. He will do like a big slap, like a tentacle slam kind of thing that you have to parry. Or if you're up close, trying to get damage in with a melee spirit or whatever, does like an instant tentacle stab out of its body. This is literally just a parry test.
Yeah, kind of a bummer.
A high stakes parry test, not the boss fight parry test.
Yeah. You get past them, we get this subterranean lab where people are studying the verboten domain. We learn a little bit about the verboten domain. We can take an elevator down to it, and the gimmick to the verboten domain is that there is a blight fog in the air. So you'll take damage over time all the time. We have to go get a relic, this mask, to protect ourselves, which we get in the depths of the stockade. And once we get it, it reduces the damage to chip damage. It doesn't remove it. It's called the Heretic's Mask. That's a really interesting choice that I think is used simultaneously well and badly. There are times where it's kind of interesting because it does put a pressure, on you that is a new way to play the game. Like, I play video games cautiously in general, and I play this game. This is no different. This kind of takes that away from me. So the times where it was taking away that security blanket kind of felt exciting and cool.
Yeah.
I just think they overuse it.
Yeah.
There are just too many places that are covered in fog.
Yes.
Personally.
I do think they do make a right choice with this, which is the actual like enemy combat in the verboten domain is less stringent,
Yeah.
you're especially compared to the ruined castle. This is more about getting on and staying on platforms, there are going to be enemies who will be a nuisance to you, and the penalty is more time in the poison fog, right?
Yeah.
But you've got this second way, into the verboten domain, to get down here. You're in the upper area. If you go down from the stockades, everything's kind of overtaken with this fungal growth, the blight, the rot that is down here, is fully found to purchase. And, just fungal versions of basic enemies above, everything just kind of looks like a rotten lump.
Yep. Yeah. I'm glad you have this in the notes, because this is another reason why I think that the fog is kind of a bummer. Is the map is not very good here. The little route nodes that you have don't really tell you which direction you need to be going in to the exit, which would be an annoyance, a minor annoyance at any other level, but is more of a major annoyance here because of the fog.
Yeah.
Right. Like you're going to have to spend a lot of time poking at the edges, and those edges are full of poison fog that do chip damage to you.
Yeah.
A little bit of a bummer.
Picture like an incredibly like tall vertical shaft that you're going up and down, and that there is going to be an exit on the left, because that's what the map says. There is no indication though about how far up or down the exit on the left is, or if riding the left hand side of the level is the way that you're going to get to that exit as it goes.
Yeah. Again, I just would have preferred this to be stacked up like blocks, like Symphony of the Night or Castlevania or Metroid.
Most other examples of the form.
Yeah, they usually don't do this kind of mind map kind of thing. There's a respite we can find where someone was experimenting with the blighted flesh of the infected priestesses, covered with all these puffball funguses. We head down into, eventually we get into this big blight pool. There's a mini boss called the Incompetent Sinner, who is one of the mermaids.
Burn on that guy.
Yeah, what a dick. So if you're a sinner and you got the blight, you turn to a merman. Why not? Does this powerful breath burst on you, but if you get a spirit, it's just an air dash attack. I thought this was going to give me a move that could only be used underwater. Which would almost make sense, but water combat, there's only 2 enemies you fight, and your homing witch missile will do just fine.
Yeah, it suffices. Your goal eventually to get to the final area here is you've got to go on either side of this elevator shaft, doing a bunch of kind of gondola rides to get to the place where you're going to open up the gates to ride the elevator all the way down. It's a long level. You kind of have to like go down around in a U, down one side and then up the other to get back until you can ride down to this boss chamber with a huge like slug enemy with these big fins. This is Muriel the Beloved.
Yep. And she is immobile. She's just on the left side of the screen. The final bosses here are going to be immobile.
Yes.
Here. And I think that makes them a lot easier. Weirdly. I think this combat system works a lot better like with Julius, like where you're dodging around a guy.
Yeah.
This ended up feeling a little bit like a Metroid boss, like a Creed or something.
Yeah.
And I just thought this was a real easy. Like once you knew what the things were, you just deciding where to be. Yeah. Since she would never change positions, she would, do this energy rain on you that you just have to dodge. She would do these chest tumors. She'd have her claw in the ground and kind of swipe towards you. Yeah. Once you knew how many times it was going to happen. Yeah. Like once you knew how many times it would happen, I need to stay here. I need to jump this many times. Yeah. Like it ended up feeling very almost Cupheady in that way.
Yeah, I was gonna say like really big Candy Castle kind of vibes on this one. Yeah.
In the context of this game, ended up feeling very easy to me. I give him credit for switching it up.
Yeah.
It's we can't purify this body. There's no hope for Muriel, so we have to purify her boyfriend, Faden the scientist.
Yes.
It was the one who created the immortality potion by studying the blight. He was trying to recover Muriel, his wife, his assistant wife, through the process.
Yeah. Trying to make sure that she, can get her consciousness back, but she was gone.
Yep.
He stopped his research when the White Priestess got too sick, and was sent down here to die, basically. Faden's soul will give you this energy attack that takes a backseat to the unlock skill, where he appears and turns a key
for you. Yeah. Oh, let me get that for you.
Yeah,
he does. So it's very, very polite of him. He's a gentleman. This is the final thing we need to do, just past certain doors. Like, it is the most give up Metroidvania thing I've ever seen. Like, we need a system of keys and locks for this. Do you mean metaphorically? No.
Nope.
It's just a lock, and this guy has the key. And do you get the key? No.
Nope.
You get to bring up the guy who has the key.
Can I see that key? Oh, you look with your hand. We look with your eyes, not with your hands.
I'll take care of it.
Yeah.
I'm a necessary part of this organization.
A note deeper down here shows Faden, kind of the ultimate result of Faden's research was couldn't restore a blighted consciousness, but could, by using the results from studying the interactions between the blight and the priestess flesh, inflict somebody with the blight while still allowing them to retain their mind.
Yes.
And that is the immortality potion that the king ordered used. And that escalated the blight, the conflict to the point where, things exploded with the death rain.
Yeah. Yep. The final area is the abyss. Let me say the things you do for the true ending before you get here, because that's what determines it. Most of them are not worth talking about. With all of your movement abilities, there are in just little hidey holes. There are fragments of a MacGuffin, that you have to use to do this. The most interesting and most difficult one involves this absolutely incredibly hard run through a blighted area. And it throws everything at you. It's like blighted. There's water blight with those underground mines, things like that. It's very hard.
Yeah.
It is kind of like a White Palace, Hollow Knight kind of thing. Like it's the most challenging platforming thing you do. I would, if I were armchair designing this, I would have just put the true ending thing behind that rather than have you also collect a lot of things that are trivial to get.
Right.
You had to get a lot of fragments, and a couple other ones have minor challenges to them, but that is the main marquee thing. Took me several tries. I do not know what came over me that made me not want to give up.
Yeah.
I just, obstinance and weird anxiety.
Oh, geez. Yeah. That sounds very bad.
Yeah. That's the big thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that puts together the dingus that you need that makes you immune to the blights. Right.
Yes. So you can purify the unboss and neither of you end up blighted. It's the golden ending where the rain stops and you don't have to sacrifice yourself.
Right.
So you can live on for Ender Lilies too.
And harder.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of that, once you've done that or not, and under no circumstances should you, you go to we travel through the roots of the blight. There are all these like flying polyp creatures we have to avoid on our way to get to the bottom, where we find the White Priestess sitting in this chamber. And she says, "Hey, coming here was pointless. You should run." And she is corrupted.
Yeah. And then a weird thing that happens before Millennia, actually, which is weird.
Yeah.
Which makes me think that Millennia's transformation and this are both hearkening to a similar thing.
Oh, yeah. Almost certainly inspired by something I don't know.
Yeah. Something from mythology or some kind of, I'm not saying this disparagingly, anime reference kind of deal.
A pop culture thing we don't know.
Yeah. A huge red flower kind of opens up beneath her and consumes her. And instead of pushing her way out of it because it's just a flower, she is sorry. I love that joke so much.
It's a really great joke in season 11 Simpsons.
Oh, I mean, it's a real D- episode. It's where they go to Africa or something. It's pretty bad.
It's awful. It's racist and stupid, but there is a really good joke about how awful and weak plants are.
But instead of pressing her way out, she transforms into the final boss. She is the Blight Lord, she was not the original Blight Lord, by attempting to purify the Blight Lord that was, leading the attack on the Twin Spires and such. She was overtaken. She,
Yes.
was not a big enough vessel to contain the Blight,
It's
and
an
so
elected
was
position.
overpowered. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So we fight her, the Blight Lord, a big background boss. She has a heart in the middle that we're trying to attack. She sends in summons, these polyps. They're a way bigger deal than she is. And shoots at you with her mouth and has these hair tendrils that'll stab down on you. I find her easy to avoid damage, getting hurt, but she has so much fucking HP. You run out of spirit summons on this boss.
Yeah.
Or like I did. It was fucking nuts. I was like, man, I had 70 of these. How is this thing shrugging off 70 of these things on top of everything else I'm bringing?
You definitely need to have all of your highest upgraded attacks assigned with all, to all 6 slots.
Yeah. You 100% have to have those 6 slots just for ammo purposes.
Yeah.
This might be a true ending thing. She has a last phase after you do enough damage to her with this, where she breaks down and just cries and doesn't really fight back. And the plink plonks start.
Yeah. I don't remember plink plonk setting. I think that's a true ending thing.
Yeah. You kill her. This is the standard ending that if you play this game, which I don't necessarily think you should do, you should 100% try to get, which is you attempt to purify her and her spirit says, hey, if you purify me, it's going to kill, going to kill you. My body is the root of all these corrupted flowers you saw throughout the world.
Yeah.
And we're the only clone of her left. That's why it's Ender Lilies, not Ender Lily there. So, we walk up to her and we say, we should bear this burden alone. She says she should bear that burden alone, but we purify her anyway.
Yeah.
And
she says, no, don't let this be your fate. And that fate is ambiguous.
Yep.
Are the two of them together capacious enough to contain it? Who knows?
Yeah. Presumably it's just, you're sacrificing yourself. You're rekindling the fire. The good ending, you take her blight, you purify it, and there's no more blight because you got the doodad. And it's a happier ending.
Yeah.
It's still not entirely sure what happens to you or what happens to all your people. I think that your knight has to die once you've done that.
Because his vow is completed.
Yeah, he goes off to the spirit realm or something. I don't know. But then you get to see the kingdom without rain. Is the golden ending.
Yeah.
And that is Ender Lilies. A real C- to me. There are things that were fun about it, and I was craving a Metroidvania.
Yeah.
It sounded good there, but I really just ended up wishing I had spent more time with the Castlevania Advance Collection or something.
Yeah.
It's not, or finally played through the Blasphemous DLC or the Death's
Gambit's DLC. Yeah.
Yeah. It gets so much better than this.
Yeah.
I feel like in terms of play, this has unique aesthetic markers that might be, very attractive. They're subjectively attractive. So I can understand somebody being like, no, this is an aesthetic I really love.
Yeah.
And maybe that will carry you. But I found from a level design and enemy and boss design standpoint, this to be pretty wanting.
Yeah. I was kind of bummed out because I also was kind of looking forward to this, Souls likes end up coming to our attention, just by virtue of doing the show that we do. People ask, hey, when are you covering X, Y, or Z? And I throw it on the list and check it out. And this one looked really promising. And it didn't take very long for it to kind of start feeling like it was coming up short. And go and see all the previous things that I said. Just feels kind of wonky. Feels still like it's attempting to. It feels like it's kind of attempting to wear its parents' clothes, and kind of tripping over them a little bit. Yeah.
It's not as it could be a lot worse.
Yep.
I think that the actual combat system with the spirits has a lot of potential.
Yes.
Not enough to make me curious about a sequel, but I like that idea and I like it when other games have done it. Yep. I find that part of this admirable. It just needed more, the basic bones weren't good. The economy, the level design, the basic, it's one of those things where it's this house has good bones.
Yeah.
Like this house kind of has bad bones. Like there are parts of this that I like, but the bones are bad.
Yeah. Yeah. We can put these cool things on a more sound, foundation. The fundamentals are just which is weird to say about a game that, again, in the microcosm, like the actual controls and stuff feel snappy and good. It's just the things that it's having you do are as where it comes up short. Yeah.
One of the things that is true of me and is not true of all gamers is that I'm not, and I think this is true of you as well, is I'm not really primarily motivated by game feel.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like game feel, but if all I cared about was game feel, I'd like Dead Cells a lot more.
Yeah.
Like a game can feel great, but if I'm not doing anything I think is that interesting, or exploring a space I think is very interesting, it doesn't matter to me. See Neo, any of these things, like just games that feel good and fast and snappy, but I don't like what you're doing.
Yeah. Game
enough.
feel is necessary, but not sufficient, I think.
Yes. Yeah. And even sometimes unnecessary.
Yeah.
Like you play survival horror games. Those are the worst game feel in the world.
It's a soft necessary, I guess.
Yeah.
Like it's just, if it is there, it depends, for the kind of game that it is. If it is a game that requires good game feel and it's not there, that is a real problem. Just if that is getting in the way of you actually performing what is being asked of you. But just that doesn't get you all the way to the finish line.
Yeah. It's also, for me, I will also admit to a mild amount of like proximity cranks with this, where like this let me down, but it wasn't a war crime. There's absolutely no shade to the patron or the many critics who love it. I fucking hate the sexy brutale. I intend to be cruel to that game. I think it has a lot of problems and is a very bad video game.
Yeah.
So I was in a cronky mood of just not playing stuff I liked for a little bit.
Yeah.
The quarry is going to rescue me. I've started it. I haven't gotten very far in it because I'm preparing for the trip, but that's going to pull me out. And then next month is going to pull me out. So
but we can't pretend like that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
We can't pretend it's fair, but we can't pretend it doesn't happen.
Well, it's also, I'm out of step. There are a lot of people you can find writing very glowing things about the sexy brutale.
Yeah.
It is a very well-loved game, but it makes me feel like I am an alien.
Yes.
So we will get into it next week. If you have thoughts about Ender Lilies, the sexy brutale, or the quarry, write in at Duckfeed.tv/contact, and please do that by April 15th.
Please do. Hard to believe it's already April. And hard to believe it's almost May. Because similarly, if you have thoughts about May's games, which are Norco, The Bard's Tale, or Super Mario Bowser's Fury, that deadline is May the 15th.
Yep. Clarification, it is the old CRPG Bard's Tale, not the 2006 ARPG about sniffing panties or whatever gross aged jokes are in that.
Right.
I'm pretty sure you get panty sniff bonuses in that or some shit.
Might be a fun epic suffering. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, maybe I get a synergistic. The seat sniffing bard goes on an adventure. Man, have you seen that clip of the GDQ, the guy who sniffs the seat?
No, what?
There's a GDQ, a guy got caught on camera, like he's sitting next to a girl. She gets up and he like pretends to kind of tie his shoe and sniffs the seat.
Oh no!
And just like straight up got caught dead to rights. Like,
I hope he was kicked out. What a mortifying
thing. I mean, they stopped doing a lot of things in GDQ, which is great.
Yeah.
They're just like, we're just not, we don't need to have redonation, like, because of this stuff. We don't need to have people on the couch doing these things. Like they switched, but it was exceedingly gross and just like the most dead to rights I've ever seen somebody
get caught doing like
the
a
fucking
vile
grossest thing you can do.
Yeah, that hits different after hearing all those stories about people getting roofied at GDC, which apparently is not a new thing.
Yeah,
sorry,
fucking
games. Stop it.
It's wild too, because this is absolutely a side concern. This has nothing to do with Ender Lilies, but that is always brought up as the like gamers are good actually thing because they're raising money, and it's like. You know what? Gamers are complicated. In the end, gamers are a land of contrast. Yeah. Because like while it's raising money is great.
That's a macro level thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Something gamers can do. But if it's a space where like seat sniffing dudes are just going to be about, peddling their sniffing ways.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. It's yeah, or or even in like an industry event like GDC, just fuck.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got on that topic, but
slightly getting better. Well, it just occurred to me in my head. I don't know how either.
Oh, the Bard's Tale.
Oh, Bard's Tale.
Bard.
Him being,
there we go.
Grace.
Yeah.
Him being gross. But in my head, I just have the little gif of that guy doing that. It doesn't even look both ways. It's just like it's.
Which is funny because I hope he gets hit by a bus.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he got better. I don't know.
Maybe he got better. It's just a really fucking gross thing to do.
Yeah.
Anywho, a not gross thing to do is to go to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv.
Yeah. By giving even just $5 a month, you get a ton of bonus content, including the, full premium episodes. So of the games we mentioned coming up, both The Quarry and Bowser's Fury are going to be premium episodes. Everybody gets the generalities, but patrons get the full thing.
Yep. I want to throw out a plug. The last one of those we recorded for Crisis got a big response. I had a lot of fun recording it. I think it's a really good episode and everybody seems to love it. So that would be, you also get that. You also get the old ones.
I would recommend, you get that and you help out your boys, makes it so we can go and do Midwest Gaming Classic, which as we're recording hasn't happened yet. Unless you hear something, through like a relative tweeting for one of us, a horrible announcement, we're going to assume that everything went well. And we thank everybody who came out.
Yeah. If we saw you there, hi. So please rate and review us on your podcast directory of choice. And big thanks to Gwen. Gwen, our producer who edited this episode and is a huge help.
Yeah.
What should they watch out for until next time, Cole?
I think no, I'm not going to say that bar.
I know,
I'm not going to do that.
To,
That's way too early. That poisoned the well, man.
Yeah, I didn't mean to set you up like that. And also, I want to point out that does not reflect on the old Bard's Tale at all.
No,
it's just a weird way that guy's fucking gross.
Yes. Yeah. No. So I'm going to say, watch out for any wishes you might be stumbling across.
Yeah.
Yep.
Take them. Watch out for them the same way you might watch out for a folded up $20 bill.
Crisp.
Grab it.